decades. I love these guys. A family-run business with national backing, and they source almost all their products right here in Washington. Have Closets by Design come out and customize your closet. Right now, 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18 months financing and free installation. 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
Welcome to this week's Puget Sound Express Whale Report. According to naturalists with Puget Sound Express, it has been an absolutely incredible week of whale watching in the Salish Sea. A large number of humpback whales have made their way into the Strait of Juan de Fuca to feed, and they have been very social and active at the surface. Biggs orcas have also been quite active, with large groupings called superpods gathering in Hood Canal and the San Juan Islands. Family-run Puget Sound Express offers daily guaranteed whale watching tours departing from Edmonds. These half-day tours are Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Puget Sound Express also offers tours out of beautiful Port Townsend and Port Angeles on the Olympic Peninsula. Don't miss out on your chance to see whales in the wild. Family-run Puget Sound Express guarantees you'll see whales or your next trip is absolutely free. Book online at PugetSoundExpress.com. Once again, that's PugetSoundExpress.com.
At Carter Subaru, your drive begins with savings. With over 300 new vehicles in stock, shop your way, in-store or from home. Plus, when you buy from Carter, you support our community. Visit Carter Subaru in Shoreline and Ballard today.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve Kathan.
השאלות המרכזיות שאתם מפנים אליי.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country's military strikes in Iran destroyed the country's largest uranium enrichment facility. The U.S. assessment is a bit more muted, as we hear from CBS's Olivia Gazis.
Thus far, the Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities have been limited in terms of the damage. The IAEA, the UN's nuclear watchdog, has said that there's no known radioactive material leaking from Natanz, that largest facility, and we know of no significant damage thus far, again, to other existing Iranian nuclear facilities.
Israel says its operation will continue. President Trump warned on social media it could be brutal for Iran, and Tehran missed chances to reach a new nuclear deal. CBS's Kelly O'Grady says the military action has rattled global markets.
When you have bombs going off in the Middle East, when you have Iran being a top 10 oil producer, as many other of the Middle Eastern nations are, there is a concern about supply. And that is why you are seeing oil prices rise roughly 7 to 10% given on the minute. Things are changing very rapidly.
A military commander says about 200 Marines have moved into Los Angeles and will protect federal property and personnel as a court battle plays out.
A federal judge issued a temporary restraining order on Thursday telling President Donald Trump to return control of the federalized National Guard back to California. Then the Trump administration filed an appeal to a higher court, a final decision expected next week. Meanwhile, in downtown Los Angeles, since LA Mayor Karen Bass issued a dusk to dawn curfew, the streets have been peaceful. Craig Figner for CBS News, Los Angeles.
The Salvadoran who was in this country illegally and mistakenly deported had a day in court in Tennessee today on human smuggling charges. CBS's Jake Rosen.
Camara Garcia pleading not guilty to those charges, and his attorneys have asked this judge to give him the due process that he's been denied since March 15th when he was removed from the United States, to allow him to go back home.
And CBS's Jim Krasula tells us
the Trump administration has provided the personal information, including immigration status, for millions of Medicaid enrollees to deportation officials. That's according to emails obtained by the Associated Press. California, Illinois, Washington State, and Washington, D.C. allow immigrants who are in the U.S. illegally to enroll in relatively new Medicaid programs that pay for their expenses using only state taxpayer dollars.
The Dow is down 400 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A Saturday full of protests. We'll tell you more about it. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, overall, I'm happy to call it a Friday light. Some slowing on I-5 north and south near the Tacoma Dome. There is a graduation there, but it's mostly affecting exits and surface streets, and it's a bit of a blip for I-5 itself. Tacoma to Seattle, 48 minutes. Everett to Seattle, 41 minutes. Typical slowing in and out of downtown on I-5. Bothell to Bellevue on 405 is 25 minutes. Just a little bit of delays getting out of Bothell itself, and then you're pretty clear all the way to Bellevue. Renton to Bellevue, 30 minutes. Typical delays around the S-curves. This report brought to you by Seattle Sports. You can always listen to your favorite local sports content on the FM dial on 97.3 HD2.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. Police, politicians, and yes, protesters are preparing for a day of rallies tomorrow. More than 50 are planned across the Puget Sound region, including at Seattle's Cal Anderson Park. This is part of thousands of rallies nationwide. The message: no kings, a direct rebuke of expanding presidential powers. Matt Adams is legal director of the Northwest Immigrants' Rights Project. He tells KIRO 7 TV he worries the main message is being lost and violence could trigger a major federal response.
Have an excuse to see what we saw in California, where they send in the troops and they're taking actions that, again, are unprecedented in using the military to harm the communities that live here.
We're expecting to hear from the governor about preparations in the next few hours. The manhunt for Travis Decker continues. He's suspected of killing his 3 daughters and disappearing into the mountains south of Leavenworth. Search teams say they found makeshift campsites and shoe prints above marked trails in the enchantments. Police chasing a robbery suspect swarmed a Mexican restaurant in Everett Thursday morning, leading to internet rumors about an immigration raid. A woman fleeing the scene of a crime crashed into Los Novios Mexican restaurant. 15 officers swarmed the scene and arrested her. It's not just graduation season for high school and college students. 1,000 very special graduates from Adult Recovery Court are being honored by the Snohomish County Superior Court.
Come on down.
More from KIRO 7 TV's Monique Minglavin.
Adult Recovery Court, or ARC, is a 12 to 18-month voluntary program, and it gives those suffering from substance use disorder an alternative to incarceration. Once the program's complete, the participants' current felony charges are dismissed.
Congratulations to all those grads. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. We are warming up to only 64 degrees today, which is 3 degrees less than expected yesterday. Cloudy throughout the day, fewer clouds in the evening. Saturday, 68 degrees with overnight lows in the low 50s. It's 53 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. Happy Fresh Friday to all of you. Gee is out today. Angela Poe-Russell is in. You and I looked at each other right before we turned on the mics. We're like, we just don't have enough time.
We do not.
You understand my plight every single day.
Yes, you're wanting to adequately prepare.
Yes.
And there's always some more information you need to get or a question you need to ask.
Yes.
But here we are. It's 7 minutes after 9.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hey, as we always say, you are such an important part of our show. So our text line, if you haven't been texting us on a regular basis, I saw a few of you just join us yesterday. Our text line is 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. You can also join us on YouTube. We've got a growing community over there. I always like to say they're a little spicier. They're really open with their criticisms of the show.
Okay.
And so a few folks were like, it gets a little testy in there. But you know what? It's good. It's good for the dialogue. Anyway, hey, how can a few words cause so much disruption and conflict at a local city council meeting? Now, this is a story that caught your attention, Angela. So I think it might explain something when you say those words include things like equity, climate change. So we'll get into
all
that.
of that, yes.
Right?
Yep.
And again, good morning, Nick. Good morning, Chef. We've got a full show for you, so we're going to get going. Our top stories at 9, brought to you by Bathfitter Northwest. Major anti-ICE protests are planned all across Western Washington and actually are all around the country tomorrow. The No Kings protests are coinciding with that military parade in Washington, D.C., commemorating the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary, organized by President Trump, who's also celebrating his 79th birthday. Governor Bob Ferguson says he supports everyone's First Amendment rights to protest, but he emphasizes that they need to be peaceful.
These are challenging situations, right? Folks have the right to protest, but when things turn violent or if folks are violating the law, there's going to be consequences.
During an anti-ICE protest on Wednesday night, Seattle police arrested 8 people after some in the crowd lit a dumpster on fire. They started throwing things, including fireworks at officers. 5 of those cases have now been referred to the Seattle City Attorney's Office, which prosecutes misdemeanors. The 2 who are suspected of hitting officers, they have not faced charges just yet. Although Wednesday's protests were mostly peaceful, State GOP Chair Jim Walsh says he is concerned about what could happen this weekend.
I'm concerned that that one will be a little more violent, a little more dangerous, and someone may get hurt.
Nearly 2,000 No Kings protests are planned across the country for tomorrow, Angela, including at least 50 here in the Puget Sound region.
You know, a couple of things here. You know, the fact that how many hundreds of people protested in the city, it was at least more than 150, 200 protesting the other night. And out of those, we had less than a dozen arrested, less than a dozen. And it just confirms what I suspected. And of course, talking to our reporters, people who were on the ground, it was a mostly peaceful protest. And, you know, I think that when you think about the weekend, I just find it interesting. They think this is going to be more violent. I was looking at the movement that is behind this protest happening this weekend, the No Kings protest. It's called the 50501 movement, 50 protests, 50 states, and one, I forget what the one stands for, but they have this whole thing. Thank you. One day. So they're going to all do this together. Chef, you always have our back, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But I was looking at their materials that they're distributing to people across the United States, and it is so mild. I mean, at least what I can find. They're telling people, hey, you want to be creative and have your signs. If you want to have more disruption. They talked about, you know, not necessarily blocking streets for long periods of time, but they're like, go for a longer route. You know, bring pots and pans and make noises. It sounds like your run-of-the-mill protest, but I just want to highlight, and I swear it's not some agenda. It's just me wanting to get the truth out, that in these hundreds of people, the number of folks that are, you know, tussling with law enforcement, it's a smaller group.
Well, but they are there. And they will suck up the energy, and sometimes it does get out of control. We saw that in 2020, and it does become a riot. And I don't want to soft pedal that, and I know that you don't either.
No.
Because, again, that's also what frustrates a lot of people. And this is why in our state, and Governor Ferguson and others are going to be holding a news conference later this morning saying, please keep that. I mean, show out en masse, come out and protest. But with every single one of these, there are some anarchists within the crowd, or there are some who just want to create havoc.
Yes.
And it's not even about the messaging. And there are a few people, there are some people who believe, no progress is going to be made unless you resort to violence. And I disagree with them.
Right.
This might be a little different, though, because it's during the day, right? When they're at night, it definitely gets different. I have faith that it'll be peaceful in Seattle. I have faith that the Seattle Police Department will not incite a riot, will not initiate until they are initiated with. I don't have faith for that to happen in other states, because I know that law enforcement in other states is much more antagonistic than they are here.
And that's a great segue to something else you're going to talk about.
We are going to talk about that, because Governor Bob Ferguson and the mayors of Seattle and Tacoma and other local leaders are going to be holding this news conference here at 11 o'clock, urging for no violence when the protesters take to the streets this weekend. Now, in Florida, listen to what Governor Ron DeSantis has said about drivers who might encounter protesters.
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
And Brevard County, Florida Sheriff Wayne Ivey had this message for protesters.
And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play.
Okay, now you're listening, and I mean, it sounds a little extreme, but they're going to be. I can already tell you without even looking, they're going to be people like, "Hey, yeah, that's the position you should take."
It's reasonable that you should have consequences for actions if you spit in an officer's face, if you bite some. Absolutely, I think the concern I have has to do with tone and rhetoric,
yes,
and how we talk to each other as community members. I get it that we don't want to have the other extreme and say, okay, guys,
yes,
when
exactly.
you march, I'm not saying you do that, but also this, oh yeah, if you do this, you're going to the hospital, then jail. Basically, we're going to kick your, you know what, and take you to, I just don't think that, I think policing and communities are better when they can work together. And how we talk to each other is part of that and lays the groundwork for that.
And actually, I want to use SPD from Wednesday night as a model for that. What happened on Wednesday night? When James joined us, our reporter James Lynch joined us yesterday. He described how Seattle police came out. They were out in force. They were no nonsense. Once the violence started, they moved in. They took care of business, arrested 8 people, did exactly, even James said that he ended up being in the way and he was trying to, move quickly. And they were like, yeah, journalists, no journalists, you need to get out of the way because we need to handle this. And retired King County Sheriff John Urquhart joined us yesterday, and he said he was impressed with how SPD handled the protesters.
I think the Seattle police had the proper amount of restraint, but not too much. And it's such a fine line. But I was impressed. They did a good job.
Go ahead, please.
Well, and I hope we have that same energy tomorrow. And like you said, it's like, yes, exercise your free speech, show out in force. But once it starts, once the ones
troublemakers
like the anarchist
come out,
types or the ones with the masks, yeah, exactly. Get out, and yes, they should be arrested and have full extent of the law. Basically levied on them.
I'm a little more concerned about the sheriff's statements than I think you guys are because one, if you're going to release dogs on a crowd, those dogs are going to indiscriminately attack people. And that's very evocative of what happened during the civil rights movement, releasing the dogs on a crowd, the fire hoses, that kind of thing. When they say, if you throw a brick or if you throw some kind of incendiary device, we are going to kill you.
Yeah, graveyard dead.
Well, look, what about a water bottle? Have police ever said during a protest, have they ever misconstrued what happened? For example, during the George Floyd protest, SPD put out, when they had the umbrella incident, that protesters were armed with incendiary devices. And they showed a picture of it on social media. And it was a box of candles. A box of candles. So what happens when somebody throws a firework in Florida? What happens with a water bottle?
But, okay, that's like in that moment, in the fog of war, if I don't know what's being thrown at me, I have to assume there should be nothing thrown at the officer.
He's also explicitly saying we are going to have live rounds in our guns. Okay, so SPD,
Well,
I don't see.
you assume that, though?
Do you see SPD armed with live rounds during protests? No.
Yeah.
They have pepper balls. They have, the spray, but they're not armed with long guns.
No.
Yeah. Well, I want you to know that I share your concern, and here's why. I think anyone who throws anything, I don't care what it is, like you shouldn't be throwing anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
My point is sometimes you can't tell who threw it. And so I worry about then if you're standing near someone and then all of a sudden you're releasing the dogs, you're releasing this, and you don't know where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
The same with DeSantis's warning in the car. It's one thing if people are surrounding me and beating on my window, but it opens the door for folks who just want to attack protesters.
That's right. It gives them license to it.
They drive to the protest, lean out the window, start yelling at people. They get approached, and
I feel threatened.
I feared for my safety.
Yes, I feared for my safety, and that's the concern.
Yes.
Can I bring up, because we've talked a lot about the protest, but can we talk about what is driving this, the issue? Because you always say we don't talk about the issue enough.
Yes.
So I want to just bring up that for a minute. So we have this parade coming up this weekend, and so let's get a few facts straight on this. And is this an okay time, Chef, to go? Okay. So this festival for the Army had been planned for several years, to the tune of $25 to $44 million. Right. But the parade element came in just this year. And the amount of that has not been determined, and it happens to coincide with President Trump's birthday.
Right.
And so this No Kings Parade, obviously there's this part to it, but also feeling like defying court orders, the ICE issue. I mean, all of these things. And am I the only one concerned about a military parade? I mean, when I look at who typically has them, when I look at who typically has them in history, so Saddam Hussein, Adolf Hitler, King Jong-un. I mean, if you know examples of American presidents who have had a military parade on their, I would love to know it.
At the very least, the optics are horrible. At a time when there is so much tension and this is happening, and he's saying it really has nothing, the president is saying it has nothing to do with his birthday, but it does coincide with that. And I actually had to fact check it because I couldn't believe it, but they're actually going to be paying people. They're going to be paying people.
Oh, this is true.
Yes, it is true. They put out ads and they're paying people to be part of the crowd. They're going to have them dressed up very specifically, green to wear red hats. They're paying them up to $1,000. It's in cryptocurrency, I believe, because they're worried that not enough people are going to be showing up. They're especially wanting people of diverse backgrounds. I mean, why have this parade at a time when we're dealing with right now, and aren't we talking about a deficit, a national deficit? Like, how important is this parade?
Yeah, historically, it's been to show power and might when you have it. But I mean, listen, I'm not big into assuming someone's intentions. All I can stick to are the facts that, yes, there was an Army festival, a festival planned. The parade was added in alignment with when Trump came into office. The parade came to be. It's military, lots of soldiers. How many soldiers here? I have this written down. Gosh, where did okay, I hate this when I do this, but I had numbers on how many. 50 aircraft and 6,000 soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the tanks.
And then the tanks, they are putting stuff down to break the roads. But all I can say is who typically has parades. And I don't know, if I were a leader, I would want to be in the company of people that we truly respect.
Yeah, and so that, is that ratcheting up tensions? Yes. Is that giving people and one of the things that President Trump has said is that they won't be holding back. And if people are protesting at that parade, they are going to use military might. I mean, they're going to use might. I mean, I don't want to misquote that, but basically he said, they're not going to be holding back. So again, I mean, I just pray that everything is peaceful this weekend.
Yeah.
I hope they show out in numbers, but just keep it peaceful.
I think that's well said. And you know what? In terms of just the decision to do this, it's one of those just read the room situations. Like, I get it. Absolutely want to celebrate those who serve and the Army and the history. and at the same time being able to think about how we bring the country together. That is what we hope for.
Yes, that's always what we hope for. Okay, still ahead. Talk about a clash. There was a city council meeting.
Oh, yeah, in Puyallup.
And there were a lot of people really upset about certain words that are included in this comprehensive plan that every city is required to have.
All these topics that we talk about on a national scale, all kind of ground zero in Puyallup right now as they talk about the future.
Yeah, so we'll have that discussion coming up next. As always, we invite you to join us on our text line, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO.
You listen to Seattle's morning news every morning. What do Charlie and Manda listen to every afternoon?
I absolutely love listening to John Curley because he makes you think, which I love.
John has a real special talent in being able to talk about the topics we care about, but he's always trying to make it fun. And you're going, oh, this guy actually gets it.
The John Curley Show, weekdays 3 to 7. Watch The John Curley Show live on YouTube or the KIRO Newsradio App.
Hey, are aches, injuries, or everyday pain slowing you down? Well, it is time to move better, feel stronger, and get back to doing what you love. IRG Physical and Hand Therapy is now accepting new patients, and no referral is needed. Their expert team offers personalized hands-on care to help you recover faster and stay pain-free longer. Shannon, what is it like to see new patients walk through your doors?
Rock, it's wonderful. You know why? It's because it's an opportunity for us at IRG to make a difference in someone's lives. It's so important that when people come in, they experience engagement, coaching, teaching. We build relationships with our patients, and we want to make it easy. We all know that healthcare has a lot of what I call minutia in it. We have a concierge call center. When you call, we're going to check your authorization, verification, certification, justification. We're going to find out everything we need to know about your insurance, and we're going to make it easy for you because we want you focusing on getting better.
And all you got to do is head over to irgpt.com to find the clinic nearest you, irgpt.com.
It's Jim Singletary, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, here to tell you the right way to choose a roofer. And it's not by choosing the lowest bid. Just comparing numbers? Terrible idea. A low price doesn't tell you if the job will be done right, and it definitely doesn't tell you anything about the contractor. Instead, treat hiring a roofer like a job interview. Ask them, why did my old roof fail early? What's the right solution for me, and why? Have you been around for at least 10 years? A new roof is a huge investment, and the job shouldn't go to the lowest bidder. It should go to the most qualified. At RoofSmart, we've got over a decade of experience, a team of more than 50 full-time pros, and real answers, not just numbers. Plus, we're certified, insured, and properly licensed. We'd love to apply for your roofing job. Call 206-487-4877 or visit GetRoofSmart.com today. That's 206-487-4877 or online at GetRoofSmart.com.
At Les Schwab, we've been changing the tire game for more than 70 years. Our Go the Extra Mile service means more hustle, less hassle. We design our own exclusive tires to give you more tires made for the road you drive, less compromise. All backed by America's best tire warranty included with every tire we sell. We're talking more unbeatable tire warranty, less charging you extra, like the other guys. It's why you get more from less. Book an appointment at leschwab.com.
We live in one of the most beautiful places on earth, and owning your own deck is a great way to enjoy it. But finding the right decking solution can be overwhelming. That's why all 9 of our Puget Sound locations offer decking showrooms so you can get your hands and toes on the more than 60 decking options we carry. So if you have any questions about building, maintaining, or repairing your deck, contact me personally, Mike Dunn at DunnLumber.com.
TimberTech Vintage Collection Decking. On sale now at Dunn Lumber.
Guys, want long-term health you can count on? It starts with knowing your numbers. This June, for Men's Health Month, Revive Seattle is offering a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value, including testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Take control of your health today and stay strong for the long haul. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com today.
And now, tales of another way.
You're making your go-to goulash. Salt, pepper, and paprika. But you spy smoked paprika in the spice rack. And your go-to goulash becomes go-go goulash. Sometimes another way is the better way, like the new SR 509 Expressway, the alternate route that'll help manage congestion on I-5 and other local roads. Plus, provide better access to SeaTac. Open soon. Free through summer. Learn more at goodtogo509.com.
People matter isn't just a saying at Harnish Auto Family. It's how they do business. For over 40 years, they've built a stellar reputation on trust, respect, and great deals. Visit harnishautofamily.com to find your next car. Harnish Auto Family. People matter.
You know that cartoon of the three-eyed fish swimming in polluted water next to a nuclear power plant?
Yeah, classic.
I used to think that was real, but I just learned that nuclear energy waste isn't some glowing green goo. It's actually used fuel rods from nuclear reactors that made electricity.
Wait, so no barrels of leaking sludge?
No, solid used fuel rods are safely stored at all the nuclear power plants in the U.S., including the one in Richland.
So the cartoon fish isn't real?
Not even close. Learn the facts about nuclear energy and used fuel at energy-northwest.com.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. Protests send chants of death to Israel in Iran after an Israeli strike on nuclear facilities. The military is vowing retribution. CBS News' Weijia Jiang says the U.S. government has denied involvement but issued a travel alert for Americans.
The president is trying to signal that there is still hope left for a deal. Remember, a sixth round of talks was already on the books between his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, and the Iranians for Sunday.
In California, the fight over who controls the National Guard continues.
A federal judge issued a temporary restraining order on Thursday telling President Donald Trump to return control of the federalized National Guard back to California. Then the Trump administration filed an appeal to a higher court, a final decision expected next week. Meanwhile, in downtown Los Angeles, since L.A. Mayor Karen Bass issued a dusk to dawn curfew, the streets have been peaceful. Craig Figner for CBS News, Los Angeles.
Washington's governor is holding a press conference about weekend protest preparations. Here, we'll bring that to you as soon as we get it. Investigators have recovered the black box for Air India Flight 171. The 787 Dreamliner crashed shortly after takeoff Thursday and slammed into a crowded neighborhood in Ahmedabad. Heads up for anyone who still doesn't have Real ID.
Dreading the process of signing up for Real ID? If you have an iPhone, you may be in luck. Apple has unveiled a new feature that'll let its mobile phone users upload passports into Apple Wallet this fall and turn devices into a one-stop shop for travelers. The company says it'll be accepted at TSA checkpoints, at least for travel within the U.S., with no fumbling through your bag necessary. Real ID enforcement began last month. Some airline passengers have been trying to use their Costco cards to get through security. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, any slowing we have on the map right now is really just a blip on the radar. I-5 northbound, getting out of Lacey, there was a collision at Slater Road. That has now cleared. There is a tiny bit of slowing, but you're really a speed limit drive the rest of the way to Tacoma and then Tacoma to Seattle. A little bit of slowing in and out of downtown on I-5 northbound, and then recovery from the morning commute on 405 northbound through the S-curves. Federal Way to Seattle, 36 minutes. Everett to Seattle, 41 minutes. Bothell to Bellevue, 26 minutes. Renton to Bellevue, 30 minutes. This update brought to you by KIRO Newsradio. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Only about 64 degrees for your high today. Lows overnight in the 50s. Clouds will break up tomorrow and increasing sun through the weekend before now I finally see rain in the forecast. For Thursday, that's the next chance for rain. It's 53 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. As always, we invite you to join us on our text line, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Welcome to all of you also watching us on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, make sure that you follow us on our Gee and Ursula Show Facebook page. But Angela, there is something that is brewing in the city of Puyallup, and it's got some people really upset.
Yeah, they're pushing back on controversial changes to the city's 20-year comprehensive plan, and these are proposed changes to the plan. So every city in Washington is legally required to have one of these plans. It lays out long-term goals for housing, development, and the environment. But recent amendments added by the city council or the city have sparked outrage. So what's got people upset? I'll give you a list. Swapping the word equity with equality in several sections, axing a policy that would require the city to consider climate change impacts in new construction, erasing language that acknowledges race as a barrier to housing, editing a paragraph about the Puyallup tribe's history to remove acknowledgement that the tribe was forced off its land, and adding language that would force the city, this is key, it would force the city to follow federal executive orders even when they conflict with state law. According to the Tacoma News Tribune, 11 residents spoke out at this week's city council meeting. One man called the proposed rewrite of tribal history just another embarrassing decision.
You're embarrassing us again if you pass these. Just like in 1870s when we kicked the tribe out of the fairgrounds, their potlatch grounds, and 1890s when the people, the Asians, Chinese workers who dug the river were kicked out of town. The 1920s when the KKK, whose leaders were living right here in Puyallup, kicked the black people out of town. Just like in the 1940s when we interned Japanese Americans at the fairgrounds, and on and on. This is another potential embarrassment that you can avoid.
And another man supported the changes.
Why is it we teach equality, fair play, and goodwill to our children and then abandon those same principles as adults? Why do we insist on dividing our society by race, ethnicity, or gender into so-called communities or populations that are identified as perpetual victims regardless of individual circumstances, and by default identify others as victimizers regardless of their personal actions?
Now, the first man you heard from said that rewriting tribal history would be one more decision in a long line of embarrassing ones. In the end, the council voted 4-3 to move the amended plan forward on first reading. As far as who's behind these changes, it was the mayor of Puyallup and council member Robin Whitting and Dean Johnson. They were the ones that proposed removing the climate change policy. The other amendments were the mayor alone, Mayor Katsama. And forgive me if I mispronounce the name. But
okay, so let's just go through a couple of the things that you brought up. Swapping the word equity with equality. Like, why?
I'm not sure. I think the problem is that equity, in terms of definition, sometimes it depends on someone's perception of what that means. And, if the way, for example, the way you define it, it might be different than how I define it. But the way I see it is it's considering a person's, the systems that we have in place and how maybe they may be impacting people in a way that's keeping them from accessing various opportunities. So it's addressing that. How do you look at equity versus?
I'm just curious why people get so triggered by that.
I think
just words like diversity, equity, inclusion.
I think it's scarcity, not feeling like there's going to be enough for everybody. So that's my theory. What's your theory on it?
No, I think that's right, because it's the way that it's been framed for a lot of people in America is that if you acknowledge the fact that somebody started at home plate while you started on third base, and you try to amend for that so that you have an equal opportunity from the starting gate, then that takes something away from you, which I don't think that it has to be that way, but I understand why people believe that.
Or that it makes it like a victim mentality.
Yeah, or I have to, if we acknowledge it, then I'm supposed to feel guilty, which I don't know. I don't know of any current Germans who feel personal responsibility for what happened during World War II, and they study their history intensely.
Yeah. I just think if I just look at a general life rule, if you do something wrong, make it right. And you can't always make something right from hundreds of years ago. But in this case, we're talking about people still living. And we haven't made it right.
Exactly.
We haven't made it right. So if you're someone who, in 1950, and you weren't able to buy a house because you had these things, which meant you were prevented from being able to gain wealth because you didn't have, a home where a lot of wealth building occurs, then make it right. And so we have various programs and various parts of the country that are trying to make it right. So it's just, to me, that's a no-brainer situation. That's just doing the right thing.
So 206 texted in and said, equality means to be rewarded for your merit, not for who you are, which is the opposite of equity, which gives everybody a trophy for doing nothing.
And that's what I mean by these definitions. Like, yeah, Shevko, you're laughing. Tell me about that.
I mean, the way it is supposed to work is that everyone should have equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome.
Yes.
It's very simple.
Thank you. And that was all my dad ever said. He was the first Black person to work in the police department, the first person to achieve all these things. And he always said, I never wanted anyone to give me anything except an opportunity.
Yes.
And at the
give
point
me the opportunity to prove myself.
And at the point where America fails to give people equal opportunity, then make it right. Not necessarily I'm not asking you to go back 1,000 years, but I'm talking about looking at this generation.
Right.
What you did to the Japanese in terms of in those cases, you've tried to make it right. So make it right.
Yes.
That's not giving someone a trophy.
And that
because you don't, and it's not saying that it's not based on merit. It's saying that you took something, you took opportunity away from some people.
Yeah, society. And the other thing that people really object to is this idea of you are accusing me of being the oppressor. I'm doing nothing other than existing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, there are people who feel like that, like just by virtue of being white, I am the oppressor and I am not someone who contributed to what happened in history. And I think we need to move away from that kind of thinking and just say, hey, just recognize that there are still people who are struggling because of decisions from the past, which again reminds me, why do we need to erase language that acknowledges that race was a barrier to housing?
Or this tribal acknowledging the tribe, I want to make sure I word this properly, but basically taking out the paragraph that removes the acknowledgement that the tribe was forced off its land. I mean, why would you want to do that? And then, okay, we didn't get a chance to talk about following federal executive orders, even when they conflict with state law.
That's the big thing
right now.
And who we need to hear from on that is the Puyallup Police Department. Because if the Puyallup Police Department says, okay, we're following city policy and we're not going to follow the Keep Washington Working Act, we're going to be helping out ICE with removal operations. So I want to know their take. It's funny they weren't there to comment.
It is interesting. I mean, it was a meeting that had 11 people, and we're talking about it. But it raises all these different issues that just on a national level we're dealing with.
At the end of the day, Ursula, I mean, there's always a big focus on presidential politics, and yes, it makes a huge difference. And at the same time, in city councils across small town USA,
dealing with it exactly.
there are rules being made, legislation enacted that can impact your life right now.
Exactly. Okay, still ahead, we are going to be talking about the true local roots of Father's Day, and you and I just learned about this today.
Yes.
So just in case you don't remember, Sunday is Father's Day. You got a little bit of time there. Can't forget Dad. Mm-hmm. We'll have more on the local history coming up next. This is the Gee and Ursula Show with Angela.
You listen to The John Curley Show every afternoon. What does John listen to every morning?
I listen to Charlie and Manda, get my pot of coffee going, then turn on Seattle's Morning News, and I begin to build my show that way. And you want straight news without opinion, just giving it to you with the facts. There's only one place to go, Seattle's Morning News.
The perfect bookends to your daily commute. Seattle's Morning News and The John Curley Show on KIRO News Radio. Download the KIRO Newsradio app to listen anytime.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
Hartley and Brent Wilcox talking about Wilcox Family Farms.
Dad, I've really enjoyed all the community events we've been doing. One question I get asked a lot is, how long has our family had the farm? When I tell them since 1909, they're surprised. Why do you think that is?
I imagine it's because that's a long time, and many farms have been bought by big corporations that put profits first.
Growing up on the farm, I feel like we put people and the well-being of our hens first.
We do, and as you know, free-range and mobile pasture hens have organic soil to forage and do what they naturally would do. This takes more time and money, but it's the right thing to do. It's better for the hens and makes for great tasting eggs.
I agree. Here is Mike to tell you where you can find locally fresh Wilcox Family Farms eggs.
For fresh, local, pasture-raised, omega-3, hard-boiled, and other fresh eggs, choose Wilcox Family Farms. Look for Wilcox eggs at markets of choice, Whole Foods, and metropolitan markets. Wilcox Family Farms.
Charlie Harder here. When your hot turns to cold, you better think fast. Fast water heater. Call 1-800-THINK-FAST. That's 1-800-THINK-FAST or fastwaterheater.com.
You better think fast. Fast water heater.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
I've got to get a new car, and things are crazy right now. 1 minute costs are up, the next minute it's something new.
Go to Subaru Puyallup. Their stress-free promises never changed. Through natural disasters, supply hiccups, you name it.
So they're still holding today's prices?
Yeah, they have over 300 Subarus still at current rates and guaranteed stress-free pricing and trade-ins. You should get in now.
I really need to swing by there. Want to go with?
Let's go.
Secure today's pricing on tomorrow's car at Subaru Puyallup, your stress-free dealership.
Care Partners Senior Living is growing. Amanda here. We are very excited to introduce our newest communities in Port Orchard, Sumner, and North Creek Bothell, bringing compassionate, quality care at an affordable price, closer to more of you. Visit carepartnersliving.com today.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover's accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide.
based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
G. Scott here with former Seahawks Cliff Averill and Doug Baldwin. I heard you guys are having a celebrity pickleball tournament to raise money for Nourishing Champions. Why pickleball?
Obviously, it's a growing sport, but also this model is that we will actually be playing with community.
We are the most competitive people, so regardless of how sorry Doug might be, he will be out there competing like it's a Super Bowl.
Sign up for the Celebrity Pickleball Tournament, open to all skill levels. For details, go to championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. We're about to talk about Father's Day and the origins of Father's Day, but I want to make a correction because, here on the Gee and Ursula Show, we want to base our opinions on facts. And last night, as I was looking into this Craigslist ad, everything was pointing to this Craigslist ad looking for seat fillers for this military parade appeared to be true. However, the White House has now just issued a statement saying that it is not a real ad, and there is no evidence, basically, as of right now, that it is authentically connected to the Army birthday parade. The company that was supposedly paying the extras is now saying that they're not involved in that at all. The U.S. Secret Service says there are going to be no bleachers or seats along the Constitution Avenue route. So, again, I just want to be very clear that although it appeared to be correct, there's enough going on with that military parade that I don't want to be factually incorrect.
Right.
So that whole and it's that story and that ad has been spread like millions of times.
It really speaks to how tough it is right now for any media organization when, first of all, you have 24-hour news in some places. Yes. You have, shrinking staff, and you're trying to keep up with all this stuff coming in the age of AI and all this technology moving so quickly. And trying to keep up with it all.
Yeah, well, and I should have listened to my first gut instinct was like, no way is that true. No way is that true. And then I look, and then I also heard representatives talk about it. And I heard I saw it on different sites.
That seems totally reasonable.
It was like, okay, this is, if this is in fact, it's not beyond the stretch of imagination that something like that could happen. But I just want to make sure, my fault.
Well, listen to
that
this.
That is factually incorrect.
The people I personally trust when it comes to my news are the ones who can, after doing more research or after check, or sometimes
more information came in.
Yeah, more information comes in.
Yes.
And you're able to say, hey, and be transparent.
Yeah.
Like that to me, and I'm not trying to butter your biscuit or anything.
No. I hate being wrong.
Oh, I know
Anyone
you
who
do.
listens, I hate being wrong.
I know. And
we have enough to worry about without having factually incorrect.
But I feel better just knowing, like you, there's some others that are just willing to say,
yes,
hey, we got new information, or I did more, whatever it is.
Yes.
And this is what it is. So I appreciate that.
No, thank you.
Okay. Now, we were talking about the origins of Father's Day. I'd never really thought about how far it goes back, and now I'm intrigued. It turns out the person who invented the holiday is from Spokane, Washington. Who knew? A Seattle Times article tells this amazing story of Sonora Dodd, who in 1909 suggested on Mother's Day that dad should have a day too. Now, why did she feel that way? Well, her mother died in childbirth, and she and her 5 siblings were being raised by their father, William Jackson Smart, a Civil War veteran who worked as a farmer. So over the next year, she petitioned for the holiday. Spokane's mayor and Washington State's governor supported it. The first Father's Day celebrations were June 19th, 1910. At Dodge Church, girls distributed red roses, a symbol to honor living fathers, and white roses for fathers who had died. Now, one Spokane retail store posted a sign on its window that said, "Give Father a gift on this day." So 1910. Now, the following years and decades, Congress, hard to get stuff done. They didn't get the bill passed. And finally, in 1966, it sounds like Lyndon Johnson kind of set the stage for it, saying like the third Sunday. And then with Richard Nixon, it became this official proclamation, 1972. And there was a telegram from Nixon to Dodd where he said, as the father of 2 lovely daughters who have never forgotten Father's Day, I'm grateful to you for beginning this great tradition in American life.
See, now, who knew?
Who
that
knew?
There was this local connection. Because how many times do you hear people say, it's just a Hallmark created thing?
Right. I thought that, yes. And it was someone who had this horrible tragedy of losing her mom and seeing her dad kind of, step up to the plate as a single father with 6 children.
Now, I don't know if there's anyone else who feels this way. And maybe it's just because I gave birth to our youngest son on June 16th. And then there's always the graduations. There's so much going on in June.
Oh, my gosh,
that I feel like Dad's Day gets buried.
Oh, my gosh, it does. It's so I mean, there's so many activities this weekend. And at least on Mother's Day, there are a lot of activities where it's like, bring mom to this or bring mom to that. But graduation, but listen, we have a dad in the room.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel buried?
No, I don't feel buried. I honestly, maybe I'm unique in this, but it feels kind of weird to be acknowledged for just taking your normal parental role. Like, there are a lot of parents, there are a lot of moms who do a lot more work. Great, acknowledge them. There are a lot of single dads that do the whole kit and caboodle. But for just, it feels kind of like a participation trophy, I guess. And if you have no connection to your parents, then maybe it's a reminder to reach out again.
Now,
but I don't feel like I don't need acknowledgement.
Do you feel that way about Mother's Day? Do you feel that that's the same?
Not necessarily.
Careful.
Yeah, not necessarily, because I appreciate my wife and my mom, but I don't know. I don't want anyone to feel like guilty about getting me something or having to do something for me. That's just not the point. In my opinion.
I just think good dads bring something so special to the table.
Oh, for sure.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that role and celebrate that role. And I get it. You can do it on your own if you need to. But there's an energy that parents can bring different energies and different life lessons and skills. So we see you, Chef.
Yes.
Before we go to break, okay, what do we get Dad for? I know you're like, we don't want anything, but if you did, what would you want?
Actually, if I'm going to say a physical thing, I'll take a chainsaw this year.
Are you trying to channel Elon or something and cut the budget or what?
I actually make things. I don't break them. That's what he does.
Okay, still ahead, we've got Michael Medved joining us. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of stuff going on around here and all around the world. So we'll have him join us coming up next on the Gee and Ursula Show.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
An illegal alien from Guatemala charged with raping a child in Massachusetts. An MS-13 gang member from El Salvador accused of murdering a Texas man. A Venezuelan charged with filming and selling child pornography in Michigan. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Under President Trump, attempted illegal border crossings are at the lowest levels ever recorded, and over 100,000 illegal aliens have been arrested. If you are here illegally, you're next. You will be fined nearly $1,000 a day, imprisoned, and deported. You will never return. But if you register using our CBP Home app and leave now, you could be allowed to return legally. Do what's right. Leave now. Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected.
Sponsored by the United States Department of Homeland Security.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granillo.
Your best source for local news.
Newly released police video shows the arrest of a 17-year-old.
KIRO Newsradio.
The global phenomenon The Chosen has arrived.
The world is changing, and Jesus offers a vision to redeem it.
He's not the Messiah!
The table is set.
This is a place to worship the Father.
But you make it a den of thieves!
Everything has led to this moment. And nothing will ever be the same.
What have you done?
The Chosen, Last Supper, June 15th, Season 5, on Prime Video.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777 or biglou.com.
This week, two-time Grammy winner Marcus Miller is live at Dimitro's Jazz Alley, June 12th through the 15th. 4 nights, 6 shows, 1 legendary bassist. Get tickets now at jazzalley.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Steve Kathan. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says he expects waves of attacks from Iran following Israel's military strikes on nuclear facilities. He calls his country's military operation a success and indicates it's not over. CBS's Weijia Jiang at the White House.
Even though the U.S. is adamant and continues to stress that this was not an American-involved operation, certainly the calculations could change at any moment depending on how Iran responds and retaliates.
CBS's Olivia Gazis.
European leaders calling for restraint, calling for a continuation to diplomacy, calling for talks to continue, and you've actually heard the U.S. say that at this point it still hopes to sit down with the Iranians on Sunday for that 6th round of nuclear talks.
Well, President Trump today urged Iran to make a nuclear deal, quote, before there is nothing left. The State Department has issued a statement telling Americans not to travel to Iran. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger says if this all continues or escalates, consumers could see some higher prices.
The big way that this conflict is likely to impact the global economy is through the energy market. Over the last couple of months, oil prices have trended lower, but with this action, we see oil prices surging both in the U.S. and overseas.
A military commander says about 200 Marines have now moved into Los Angeles and will protect federal property and personnel. In Tennessee, Kilmar Abrego Garcia has pleaded not guilty to human trafficking charges. He's the Salvadoran who was living legally in Maryland and deported by mistake. His wife told supporters,
Kilmar wants you to have faith.
Kilmar quiere que tengas fe.
He said, these dark times are where we're facing all the tribulations that God has put in our path.
Estos tiempos oscuros.
But keep praying and keep fighting.
DHS says 4 detainees have escaped from an immigration detention facility in Newark, New Jersey. Overseas investigators have recovered the digital flight data recorder of the Air India plane that crashed yesterday. CBS News contributor Robert Sumwalt.
They have found one of these black boxes. I think these are going to unlock the mystery of this accident. So it's critical to get these black boxes and get them read out.
More than 1 million Power Core 10,000 power banks are being recalled because the lithium battery inside can overheat. Wall Street, the Dow is down 475. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
We're going to tell you about the protests planned for this weekend. It's going to cause some traffic issues around the region. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, our current traffic situation involves a major snag for the I-5 express lanes in Seattle. A collision on the southbound lanes just north of Mercer Street is blocking the right 3 lanes. Emergency responders are on the scene. 1 lane is squeaking by, so that's going to be at least a 5 to 10 minute delay. Again, just the express lanes. Otherwise, in and out of Seattle on I-5 regular lanes, looking pretty good. The delays that we saw coming in from the north end through Shoreline are almost gone, and 405 getting into Bellevue is looking great. We have a tiny bit of slowing, just maybe a minute or so through the Renton S-curves on 405 northbound. Keep in mind, Tacoma, there is a graduation at the Dome. We did see some slowing earlier around the Dome on I-5, but I'm not seeing it anymore. Federal Way to Seattle, 36 minutes. Everett to Seattle, 39 minutes. Bothell to Bellevue, 24 minutes. This report brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance. Get a whole house cooling and heating from one efficient new heat pump and save up to $6,000 and take 18 months to pay. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. No kings. That's the message of more than 50 rallies planned around the Puget Sound region tomorrow, demanding a check on presidential power. Another protest is planned for Seattle's Cal Anderson Park at noon. If you're on Medicaid in Washington, here's something you really should know.
Immigration agents just gained access to your personal data, including immigration status. Medicaid officials tried to block the move, but were told to hand it over anyway. The Associated Press says they had less than an hour to comply. The data came from states that let non-citizens use Medicaid with state funds. That includes Washington, California, and Illinois, also Washington, D.C. Critics say this could help the government find and deport people. Supporters say it's about enforcing immigration laws. Manda Factor, KIRO News Radio.
We're now told a third person was hit in a shooting at 3rd and James in Seattle Wednesday. A 54-year-old man hit in the leg, but expected to survive. The suspect is in custody, but police are still piecing together what happened. The search continues for Travis Decker, the homeless former soldier at the center of the manhunt in Chelan County. Here's KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey.
New Friday morning, a Chinook helicopter from Joint Base Lewis McChord, capable of carrying dozens of people and heavy equipment like Humvees, is now parked at the U.S. Marshals staging area in Wenatchee. The Marshals recently took over search operations and are deploying their rapid response team to help find Decker, who's been on the run now almost 2 weeks. Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison is dispelling the idea Decker is some sort of Army Ranger Rambo. He says the only thing preventing search teams from capturing him, Decker got a head start in some of the most rugged terrain in the country. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Another shakeup behind the Kraken bench. The team announced that assistant coach Bob Woods is out. Woods was only with the team for 1 season. Jessica Campbell, who shared his role, is the only assistant staying on. Lane Lambert was hired as head coach just 2 weeks ago, and according to the Times, he hasn't named any new assistants yet. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. We are warming up only to 64 degrees, 50s overnight, low 50s, cloudy tomorrow, Saturday, 68 degrees and partly sunny. It's 54 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Happy Happy Fresh Friday to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Gee and Ursula Show. Gee is out today. Angela Poe Russell is in. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be with you on this Fresh Fridays.
Oh, you're one of those. Huh?
Yep, I'm just going for it.
Yes,
My dad
exactly.
is probably rolling in his grave.
Coming up at 10:30, we are going to talk about the tragedy involving the Boeing Dreamliner. And what we didn't talk about yesterday is that there was one lone survivor. And we're finding out more details. He is actually talking to reporters, and he is sharing what he experienced, what happens in the moments before the crash, where he was sitting, and how did he end up being that one survivor.
Person, right.
So we are going to have that discussion coming up at 10:30. As always, we invite you to join us on our text line, 888-973-5476, 888-973-KIRO.
What's new at 10?
And this is the time on Friday mornings that we get a chance to chat with our friend, longtime conservative commentator, Michael Medved, who you can hear on michaelmedved.com. Good morning, Michael.
Hey, good morning, Angela and Ursula.
So
that sounds like a made to the order as a team name, Angela and Ursula.
Yes.
Has a little ring.
Yes, it does. Hey, so Michael, there's so much going on, and we're going to start with something that we have not paid any attention to, and it's huge. And right now, the Trump administration says it has played no role in the attacks by Israel against Iranian nuclear and military sites. These attacks have also targeted some military commanders and scientists, and sirens are blaring in Jerusalem as Iran has now launched more than 100 drones toward Israel in retaliation. Israel remains under a state of emergency. I know that you have family in Israel, and you, I'm sure, are watching closely as to what is happening.
Yes, we're trying to. I mean, it's and by the way, I think that President Trump is probably moving away from that statement that Marco Rubio made earlier about the United States has nothing to do with this, because you know that old saying that defeat is always an orphan, but victory has 1,000 fathers. And these attacks have been very successful. I mean, all of the reports from media everywhere indicate that they've been devastating, far beyond people's expectations of success. And they have wiped out some of the leadership, the military and scientific leadership of the whole evil Iranian regime. And Netanyahu, in his speech announcing this, which is brief and to the point, and I would urge people to listen to it because it makes the case very, very well. They say that when someone says, the lesson of the Holocaust is when someone says, we're going to kill you, take them seriously. And Iran has been saying that literally for years about Israel, that the Jewish state has to be wiped out. And this is a preemptive strike. And I do think it is one where, with Iran now trying to hit back with drones and other attacks on Israel. And by the way, I know in Israel right now, schools are closed. Kids are not going to school. People are supposed to be hiding, not hiding, but seeking shelter in safe areas around the country. And they are expecting some kind of hit back from Iran, of course. But the nature of the attacks has been, again, so reportedly successful that I'm not sure how that's going to continue. And again, the support from the Israeli people, who are very divided politically on so many issues, but the support for this Operation Rising Lion is very high.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you talked about it being a preemptive one, but the rhetoric from Iran being one that's like, hey, where Israel definitely felt threatened and worried about its security. But I'm just wondering about the end game here, because Iran is saying, quote, like, the gates of hell will open in retaliation. I mean, are you thinking that they're just going to eventually back down here? Because right now it just seems like these preemptive strikes have just ramped things up. And I'm just wondering what the end game is.
I think the end game is going to be some kind of settlement that involves restrictions on getting nuclear weapons for Iran. And part of the reason that I think that this is complicated is obviously Trump had been very explicit that he wanted Israel to wait or to delay or to avoid an attack so that he could have success with negotiation. But I think that the Israeli response was this was very similar to the kind of negotiation that Joe Biden had sought and that Barack Obama had sought, and that this was not something that was actually going to stop the Iranian nuclear program, which got more and more and more intense, combined together with Iran's announced intention to wipe Israel out using those nuclear weapons. And I think Netanyahu asked a very, very obviously impactful question, which is what would it mean if Iran had 9 atom bombs? And living relatively close to Israel, that is one of those things that Israel cannot and could not accept. Can Iran go on with, will there be a regime change, by the way, which is another real possibility? And part of Netanyahu's speech was addressed to the people of Iran, making it clear we have no desire to have a struggle between the Israeli population and the Iranian population, but it is the regime of the mullahs and the regime of these authoritarians and an incredibly evil and warped regime. I don't know if you saw that they are making it a serious crime to have a dog.
Yeah, there are many issues regarding civil rights and so much more in Iran, for sure. I'm going to move on to what is happening in Washington, D.C. You, by now, I'm sure, have seen the video of California Senator Alex Padilla, who was attending actually a briefing for Northern Command when he learned that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was holding a press briefing down the hall. And he says that Secretary Noem has refused to respond to months of requests for information. And so he decided to walk down the hall and ask some questions.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
So the video shows the senator identifying himself, trying to ask that question, but then federal agents pushed him out of the room. They forced him to the floor, handcuffed him, and then released him a short time later. And Michael, he held a news conference after that scuffle in which he questioned the agent's treatment of everyday Americans.
If this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country.
Now, I know that Democrats in Congress are speaking out about this, but Republicans are basically blaming the senator for the most part for disrupting this news conference. Your thoughts on this? I mean, I don't remember this happening very often where a U.S. senator is arrested.
No, first of all, he hasn't been arrested. He was put in handcuffs.
Put in handcuffs. Okay, so yeah, he was forced to the ground.
He was knocked down to the ground.
Yes.
I mean, it's completely outrageous, and they're messing with the wrong guy. I mean, Alex Padilla is an impressive guy. He's a graduate of MIT, among other things. He's run for 8 different elections in California, won them all in landslides. And he is clearly speaking, I think, very effectively for some of the insanity that is going on with the president's deportation policies, which are unpopular. One of the things that has been shocking to me, and I've been covering it this week, is that immigration was supposed to be this issue where people were overwhelmingly in favor of the Republican viewpoint. Well, they're not. The disapproval of President Trump's deportation policies are very high. And what this raises a question, and I think Padilla does it very effectively, is if President Trump stuck with what he promised, which is going after criminals, going after the worst of the worst, and human traffickers and drug dealers and bad guys, no one would object, because obviously those people, the one thing that I think is questionable is they shouldn't be deported. They should be jailed and put in jail for a long time. But to go after people who are working as roofers and day laborers, and as he says, and working across the board for farms and for factories, to go after those people and spend this amount of money and this amount of education is not a clever political strategy for the president or any of his Republican allies.
Yeah. You know, it sounded like President Trump was starting to get that message. But at the end of the day, I have to wonder, I mean, he knew what the assignment was, which people did want to get the violent criminals out, the violent criminals. So then why? Why is he doing it? Why is he going after the everyday people who've been here for 30 years working? What's the truth, Michael?
Well, I think that there was a piece that was a terrific piece written by a friend of mine who's on the show a lot, named Ruben Navarrete, who's the son of a cop. He's Latino, obviously, but one of the points he makes is that if you listen to the rhetoric of people like Tucker Carlson and people like Stephen Miller, who is the president's big guru on immigration policy, they are concerned about the great replacement. They don't want people to be here who are from particularly Hispanic countries. And again, it goes on to this idea. This is why the whole immigration reform has been blocked time and time again. And given the fact that President Trump came down the gold escalator and started talking about immigrants as rapists and murderers and drug dealers and horrible people, and again, they never admit or acknowledge the truth, which is the rate of crime among even unauthorized, even undocumented immigrants. The rate of crime is less than that of native-born Americans. So this entire idea that we have to go after people with no criminal record is not popular. It's not sensible. And it's just easier to sort of demonstrate, quote, success in that regard.
And Michael, I'm sorry to interrupt, just because we're running out of time, but you mentioned Stephen Miller, who created this quota of 3,000 a day. And so I think there is that pressure there. But I just want to remind everybody, there was a bipartisan immigration reform bill, because I think that is what the vast majority of Americans want. And there was a bipartisan bill that was ready to go. And what happened, Michael?
Well, what happened was that Eric Cantor lost a primary. This is back in history when the Speaker of the House was Paul Ryan, and who was very much in favor of that immigration reform. It was bipartisan, and there was another bill that was also very positive. It was put forward by John McCain with Senator Edward Kennedy. May they both rest in peace. But part of what has happened here is that this has been used by President Trump and some other politicians as an issue. And they would rather have an issue to run on than have an actual solution to the problem, which is an immigration system that really does need reform.
And Michael, we just have 2 minutes left, and I know you wanted to talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who, again, on this show, we don't get a chance to talk about him that much, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on that affects all of us.
Right. Well, the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in fact affects or infects all of us because of the desire to undermine vaccines. Vaccines are one of the great triumphs of human ingenuity and scientific advancement of our lifetime, of all of history. And the idea that he fired this entire vaccine board and replaced them, or is replacing them now, with anti-vax experts, this is astonishing. There's a piece today that's very entertaining called the Department of Health and Human Crackpots, which is, again, I think what's happening over at HHS.
By the way, I'm just seeing it's always breaking news, but basically on Iran saying the U.S. must be held accountable for the attack. And this is according to CNN, and then Netanyahu saying that Trump knew about the attack on Iran in advance. So it sounds like, going back to the beginning of this interview, we're in it, as our Iran sees it. The idea that the Iranians are, quote, going to hold us accountable, I think they have their hands full with the Israelis. Getting the United States more directly involved than we are is not a clever move for the Iranians. Michael Medved, thank you so much for being with us. I always, I fill in every now and then, but every time I fill in and you get to come in, I always enjoy our conversations.
Me too.
I appreciate
always learn
it.
something.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe.
Let's all stay safe and victorious.
For sure. Okay, still ahead, we are going to talk about the Boeing Dreamliner crash and the lone survivor and what he is saying today. We'll have more on that coming up next on the Gee and Ursula Show.
This hour is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington.
Jake and Spike.
How you doing today?
Oh, fabulous.
You're looking a little, are you a little glum?
No,
oh, you're fabulous.
Fabulous. I'm faking it till I make it.
Good for you.
I'm a transmission fluid half full kind of guy.
Oh, that's nice.
How's that?
You need that today.
I do need that.
You're having some car troubles. Is that okay that I tell people that?
Yeah, of course it is. We live our lives. We live our lives for the betterment and enjoyment of this city.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
On KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
At Dunn, relationships are everything. It's why we build a culture around building the best relationships possible, building joy and trust, one interaction at a time. So whether you need trusted advice, help with material selection, project planning, or loading your vehicle, we go the extra mile to remove as much of the hassle as we can. If there's anything we can do to serve you better, contact me personally, Mike Dunn at dunlumber.com.
Dunn Lumber. Building success together.
The team that gave me back my full head of hair, Advanced Hair, is once again the winner of the 425 Business of the Year. Dr. Perungo and his world-class team begin regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. And Advanced Hair guarantees your new hair will grow, just like they did for me. Find out why Advanced Hair is the best of the best. With your free consultation, you'll receive $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. 425-449-8185. Or advancedhair.com.
The global phenomenon, The Chosen, has arrived.
The world is changing, and Jesus offers a vision to redeem it.
He's not the Messiah!
The table is set.
This is a place to worship the Father.
But you make it a den of thieves!
Everything has led to this moment. No! And nothing will ever be the same.
What have you done?
The Chosen, Last Supper, June 15th, Season 5 on Prime Video.
Hartley Wilcox here from Wilcox Family Farms. I've really enjoyed meeting so many of you at our recent egg demo events. I'm often asked, are omega-3 eggs really better for you? They sure are. Omega-3 eggs are an incredible source of natural omega-3s, providing on average 3 times that of other eggs. Eating omega-3 eggs promotes strong bones and joints and is proven to reduce cholesterol and blood pressure. Choose Wilcox Family Farms eggs today. Locally fresh since 1909.
At the Harnish Auto family, people matter isn't just a saying. It's how they do business. For over 40 years, their dealerships, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Volkswagen, Subaru of Puyallup, plus Chevrolet and Kia of Everett, have built a stellar reputation on trust, respect, and great deals. From supporting local charities to making sure every customer drives away happy, they're here for you. Stop by any of their dealerships or visit HarnishAutoFamily.com and find your next car today. Harnish Auto Family. People matter.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with some great news. I'm with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and owner of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. Shannon, you guys just increased your community coverage.
That's right, Brock. We like to say we're in your neighborhood. We have you covered here at IRG. We just added 2 fantastic locations. One is in Harbor Square in the Edmonds Bowl, and the other one is in the Mill Creek Town Center, right to the entrance to Mill Creek Town Center. So we'll be able to provide fantastic care to all of us and everybody's neighborhood.
You know I love it. Expert physical and hand therapy right in your neighborhood.
That's right. We're in your neighborhood. We want to be your neighborhood family physical therapist. We'll take care of you, your family, and your neighbor.
And remember, no referral needed, just personalized care when and where you need it. Visit irgpt.com and schedule your appointment today. With over 40 convenient locations, IRG is right in your neighborhood, and now 2 new spots as well. That's irgpt.com, irgpt.com.
Roof now, pay later. No payments until 2027. 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Since 1968, we've helped homeowners just like you get beautiful, durable roofs without breaking the bank. Book today and lock in summer pricing before it's too late. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
When the heat's in 11,
cool AC would be heaven.
Dayandnight.net.
Beat the rush.
Act now before summer,
because that heat's a real bummer.
Dayandnight.net.
Even though our Northwest summers can be spectacular, there's always a long, hot stretch that makes everyone say, man, AC sure would be nice. Well, except for that one annoying friend who won't stop talking about how great his AC is. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. You can stay comfortably cool when those hot temps arrive. This is the time to plan ahead and call us about installing a high-efficiency AC or heat pump. Or if you have an existing system, we'll come and service it. Make sure it's running efficiently and ready to cool when you need it.
Before the summer heat wave.
Keep your house cool and safe.
Dayandnight.net. Stay cool this summer with Day and Night. Call now to get 10% off an air conditioner or heat pump. Plus, no payments or interest for a year OAC. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Dayandnight.net. Guys, it's Men's Health Month at Revive Seattle. Get a free comprehensive wellness panel. It checks your testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Valued at $400. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and MyNorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. This just in, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claims U.S. President Donald Trump did know about the attack on Iran in advance. President Donald Trump maintains the U.S. did not support the attack. Here's Eleanor Watson with CBS News.
The U.S. has around 40,000 U.S. troops across the Middle East, including 3,000 in Iraq, 1,000 in Syria. And those troops in Iraq and Syria are particularly vulnerable because they're within a few minutes' flight of Iranian ballistic missiles.
The U.S. government has issued a travel alert for Americans. CBS business reporter Jason Brooks says that attack will send gas prices up even more.
Americans will feel the surge in oil prices at the gas pump in the coming weeks, and according to energy market analysts, there won't be much relief anytime soon. Capital economics analysts point out that 25% of global oil supplies and 20% of liquid natural gas shipments pass through the Strait of Hormuz, which is vulnerable to Iranian attacks. And an analyst with financial firm ING says a serious disruption in the strait would hike the price of oil to around $120 a barrel. Research firm TS Lombard, however, says that if the U.S. refrains from intervening, that will lessen the threat to oil supplies.
Boeing says it's offering the support of its special response teams to the government in India and Air India. The black box for Flight 171 has now been found. The 787 Dreamliner crashed shortly after takeoff Thursday and slammed into a crowded neighborhood in Ahmedabad, killing more than 240 people. A very special graduation ceremony here in Washington.
Come on, man.
1,000 people who graduated from Adult Recovery Court are being honored by the Snohomish County Superior Court. We get more from KIRO 7 TV's Monique Ming-Lavin.
Adult Recovery Court, or ARC, is a 12 to 18-month voluntary program, and it gives those suffering from substance use disorder an alternative to incarceration. Once the program's complete, the participants' current felony charges are dismissed.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, we are updating the I-5 express lanes issue, southbound express lanes just north of Mercer Street in Seattle. It's now just blocking the right lane. There are some delays, but those should break up pretty soon. The volumes aren't there to make it a big issue. 405 southbound, the on-ramp from Northeast 124th Street, a collision partially blocking the ramp there, so watch out for that. But traffic times are looking pretty good. Federal Way to Seattle, 36 minutes. Bothell to Bellevue, 24 minutes. And Renton to Bellevue, 30 minutes. This report brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance. Get the whole house cooling and heating from one ultra-efficient new heat pump. Save $6,000 and take 18 months to pay. Visit homecomfortalliance.com. Weather brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. 64 degrees today and cloudy tomorrow. Partially cloudy at 68 degrees. Overnight lows in the low 50s. It's 55 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. Gee is out today. Angela Poe Russell is in. As always, we invite you to join us on our text line. It's been very busy today. 888-973-5476, 888-973-KIRO. Well, it's being called the world's worst aviation disaster in a decade. More than 240 people were killed when that Air India plane bound for London crashed moments after that Boeing Dreamliner took off. There was only one survivor on the plane, a British national who is now being treated at a hospital. 40-year-old Vishwas Ramesh was seated in 11A. It's right next to an emergency exit. And in an interview from his hospital bed, Angela, he said after takeoff, the plane felt stuck in the air for about 5 to 10 seconds. That's how he described it. And he said it was just gliding before it suddenly slammed into that hospital building and exploded. And at first, he says he thought he died. But then he managed to unbuckle himself and crawl through an opening in the fuselage. And he says there were people dying in front of his eyes, including the flight attendants who had just helped him. And pieces of the plane were scattered all around him. And he remembers someone grabbing a hold of him and putting him in an ambulance. And then he wakes up in the hospital. Now, just 2 hours before that deadly crash, a guy who had flown on that very same plane posted this video from inside the cabin, and he was pointing out that several of the plane's systems were not functioning.
AC is not working at all. And as usual, your TV screens are also not working. Neither this button for calling the cabin crew. Nothing is working. Nothing. Not even the light is working. Nothing is working. I don't know.
So obviously, in Jillian's newscast, she said that they just found the black box, so that should contain a lot more information. There's some speculation. We don't know pilot error, malfunction, what it is, but raises a lot of questions. This was the first Boeing Dreamliner involved in a deadly crash, and that particular plane was built in Everett, and it was 12 years old. It had accumulated nearly 42,000 flight hours, over 7,800 flights.
Yeah, you just can't deny the reputation of the Dreamliner. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. It is excellent. It has not had the problems like one of the other planes. It's interesting. I've been looking into Air India and found out that the government ran it for a long time, and it only was recently taken over 3 years ago by a private group. And reportedly, the airline was in shambles when they took it over, when this private group took it over. And so they were trying to turn it around, better maintenance, just that video that the audio that you just aired of the guy who's describing all these things that they were saying
it was just around his seat.
They were saying that is exactly how it typically went. That was the reputation. So they were trying to turn it around. So you definitely have to ask that question, like what is it's one thing to deliver a good plane. It's another to have to properly maintain it and to follow, those types of things. You were talking about this one. I can't even wrap my head around one person surviving.
Mm-hmm.
And so then everyone wants to know, like, where was he seated?
Oh.
And some
Emergency
articles,
exit row.
yeah, these aviation experts are, some of them are saying he kind of defied what they typically say is safe, because they talk about the rear of the plane where usually no one wants to sit because you're back there by the restroom. But they say that's where the black box recorder is typically towards the tail, because it has a higher likelihood of surviving that impact. But I mean, don't be wrong. If there's another place, that area near the exit row is definitely one that's been identified. But typically, the back of the plane is.
If we have the option, I'm always picking the emergency exit row.
Because you want to be able to get out.
Well, I want to be able to get out. And there's also, I mean, just practically speaking, there's more leg room.
Yes, then there's that.
But, you know, you always have to do with the safety thing drill that they do. They always ask you at the beginning, are you willing to be the one that would help people in the event of an emergency? I cannot imagine. I cannot even fathom how that man feels. His brother was on that plane. And that is one of the
sitting
things that
next to him. Sitting next to him, I was told.
So it's still unclear. And then there's also reports that he was initially on 11J and then moved his seat to 11A. And was it, you know, fate, basically his good fortune that he moved at the last second to that emergency exit row? I mean, that everybody else ended up dying on that flight, with the exception of one. And you always hear about survivor's guilt. What happened? I mean, it just sounds so horrific.
And it's understandable. I mean, you want to find meaning in that. And so you'll hear some people, you know, they'll talk about God, but then you ask, well, you know, there were other people who didn't make it. And I know that they have their own relationship with God, but it has to be just life altering in that moment. To be that one person. I don't know. What do you all make of it? Text us, 888-973-5476.
Well, a couple of other things that have come up. I mean, you talked about the safety record of the Dreamliner, and you are right that I mean, given the number of planes that have been delivered, I think it's close to 1,200 787s since the plane's inception, and this is the first deadly crash. However, the company right now is trying to work to increase production of that particular plane.
Yeah.
And you know that there were some whistleblowers who testified before Congress, and one of the things that was brought up was the 787 and potentially these tiny gaps at the joins in the fuselage section that could potentially weaken the structure of the fuselage.
I remember it. He was saying that I guess there were different parts manufactured by different companies, and when those parts arrived and put together, they didn't quite fit, and they had to kind of work with them.
It was Sam Salapur, who was a Boeing quality engineer, and he was saying that the company was putting out defective airplanes. Now the company tried to respond to that. I mean, the difficulty for Boeing, the new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, was on his way. He was going to be heading to the Paris Air Show, which is the grand event for the industry, where Boeing and Airbus, basically brag about the orders that they get and that kind of thing. He's had to cancel. The company is trying to recover from the two previous crashes involving a different aircraft, and the problems that have come up, and then this happens.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that part of that allegation from Sam is he said over time, after so many flights, he thought that would become an issue. But I don't know if there's any indication that this was it.
No.
At the end of the day, isn't. I mean, you can 5 million flights, 85 countries.
Still safe. I mean, it's still safe, relatively speaking.
Yeah. I think so.
But it's hard to be that rational when something like this happens, and then you do ask questions.
Yeah,
about,
it's reasonable.
Yes,
we have to. It's reasonable, as well as look at the maintenance record, the black box. I understand they've recovered it, and that will hold a lot of information. So, I think it's reasonable to look at everything without drawing conclusions.
Yes, but just both heartbreaking.
Yes,
and then also, I'm just fascinated by this person who ended up surviving and how he moves forward. Yeah, it's just really hard. Okay, still ahead, we do scenarios where we solve other people's problems, so it was a lot of fun. join us. And again, our text line is 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. More of the Gee and Ursula Show with Angela coming up next.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
Seattle is the nation's most male-skewed major city. There's more men in Seattle. They say in the article here, they said the most masculine city, but I absolutely disagree with that.
You've seen the men in this town.
Exactly.
Please. It's not like it's 80-20.
No,
that's when it's hard to meet a lady.
That's true.
When there's 4 guys for every girl. That's when it's here come the bride's time.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
On KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM.
Every summer, we drive to Lake Chelan in our Subaru Outback. That car has been so wonderful for our family adventures. We bought it at Carter Subaru, and I know they have what you have been searching for when it comes to vehicles, because they have over 300 new ones in stock, including the 2025 Forester, now with 3.9% financing for 48 months on approved credit, or you can go electric with the 2025 Solterra EV, 0% APR for 72 months. At Carter Subaru, your drive always begins with savings. No high-pressure sales tactics to force you into buying more than you need. Carter Subaru is a local, family-owned business. They are invested in our community, and treating their customers right is their number one priority. It is why our family is always going to go back to Carter Subaru, and you can shop with the Carter Subaru Advantage and enjoy valet parking at their Ballard dealership and at-home delivery across all locations.
On approved credit, subject to vehicle insurance and availability. A documentary service fee may be added to the sale price or capitalized cost. See dealer for details. Valid through 6/30/25.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Stylin'. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain, sinus headaches? You've gone to the doctor. You visit urgent care over and over again. And it's always the same thing, right? Oh, I know. Let's try antibiotics and some nasal sprays. But they just keep coming back. You may suffer with chronic sinus infections. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure called the Sinusoft procedure, available only at the Modern Nose Clinic. Imagine a procedure so delicate there are no narcotics. Less cutting means less bleeding, so no packing, and no operating room. The Sinusoft procedure is designed for the clinic. If you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, and congestion, find out if the Sinusoft procedure, available only at the Modern Nose Clinic, is the solution for you. Call and set an appointment today. 206-388-2770. 206-388-2770. That's 206-388-2770. 388-2770.
There are 5 things money can do for you: growth, liquidity, cash flow, protection, and tax advantages. Don't miss an opportunity because your current retirement plan only focuses on 2 or 3 of them. Hi, Jeff here with Madrona Financial and CPAs. Don't settle for a partial plan. Get the real deal by requesting your no-cost Madrona analysis today and discover what you may be missing. Call 833-673-7373 right now to request your analysis. That's 833-673-7373.
Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS.
The global phenomenon, The Chosen, has arrived.
The world is changing, and Jesus offers a vision to redeem it.
He's not the Messiah!
The table is set.
This is a place to worship the Father.
But you make it a den of thieves!
Everything has led to this moment. And nothing will ever be the same.
What have you done?
The Chosen, Last Supper, June 15th, Season 5 on Prime Video.
Here in the Pacific Northwest, windows can be one of the best investments you can make to add value to your home. At Dunn Lumber, we have designated Marvin window specialists who have been trained by Marvin to best serve your needs. If you need help finding the right windows for your home, come by one of our 4 Dunn Lumber window showrooms or reach out to me personally, Mike Dunn at DunnLumber.com.
Dunn Lumber, building success together.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. Let's do scenarios.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario?
I am having an unsolvable dilemma with my wife. I'm not being dramatic when I say I think my wife's cat is a demon. She found Earl hiding in the bushes near Pike Place Market and decided she had to take him home and rescue him. But he's an agent of pure chaos. First, he does not purr. He makes this low, guttural hum like a faulty refrigerator. Second, he stares at me for hours. He won't even blink. Third, my wife thinks it's cute that he only eats the raw fish heads that she gets from the fish store, but I find little piles of tiny skulls by the food bowl. The final straw, over the last 2 months, he has systematically destroyed, one by one, my favorite Sonics mug, pushed it off the counter, the TV remote by chewing the buttons off, my glasses, and he always pees in one of my shoes. My wife coos at Earl and calls him her sweet rescue baby, but I want to get rid of him. How can I convince her to get rid of Earl?
Okay, I'm going to let Angela start. I am the wrong person to talk about cats.
Yeah. You're not. You're not. You're going to have to choose. It's going to be your wife and Earl or you on your own. It's just not going to happen. And at the same time, I want to say I believe you. I mean, I am not a cat person, but I remember I had lived in this one house and there was a neighbor's cat, and the cat would come over just to mess with me. If it would seriously lie in wait, waiting to kind of get in my house and hide under the dining room table, and then would just be entertained at me trying to get it. These cats are smart.
They are
smart, and I believe you. They're messing with you. And my only thing is you're going to have to play chess here. You're going to have to probably act like you don't care, and because it's sensing how you're feeling. So if you want to keep your wife, then I suggest that you just play chess with this cat and act like you don't care and just ignore it. And you're going to have to change. I love the Maya Angelou quote. If you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change the way you think about it. So it's either divorce or... I'm saying, I'm worried
Wait a minute.
She's not going to get rid of the cat.
Okay, hold on.
He needs to let that go.
Okay, so I normally agree with you on just about everything.
I'm not saying get a divorce, but I'm saying if you're not going to convince her.
Who came first, the marriage or the cat?
All I can tell you is I've never seen someone give up their animal for a spouse.
Okay.
Ever. Someone text me, have you given up an animal for a spouse?
Yeah, there are people. And first of all, in this marriage, the marriage started first. She took in this cat, and I think it's really noble of her to take in the cat. But sometimes you bring in an animal to the family, and it doesn't work out for everybody, and you have to make tough decisions. And you're right. Maybe you have to decide whether it's going to be you or the cat, or the wife or the cat. But I'm sorry. I think that if this cat is not trainable, I think the cat needs to go back to maybe Humane Society or go fight, be rehomed. Okay, and maybe
who wants to take on the demon cat?
Maybe, well, because you know what, there are people who are cat whisperers. I'm not that person. I shared the story of the time I went to my neighbor's house to just get a cup of sugar. And there was a cat. It was another neighbor's cat. And the cat saw me walk up, and I was trying to get around it. I have a fear of cats. And this cat swiped at me, and no kidding, I had blood on my legs.
They're trip. And depending on the cat you get, we also have a really sweet cat who comes to our house and visits, and we feed it and pet it. I mean, we have a great time. By the way, Kate in Auburn says, tell this guy I had a similar cat. We put him on a hormone that the vet prescribed, and every third day, and it stopped the peeing.
Like estrogen? Calm him down. I like if this was a dog, I'd say it'd be probably relatively easy because like you can buy the love of a dog, just keep bacon in your pocket, feed it to him. I don't know if you can do the same thing with a cat. You can also like remove some of the problems, right? Like put your shoes on a top shelf where the cat's not going to get to them and pee in them inside a closed closet because I know they're climbers. Try not to leave your bugs on the counter. Give it its own space, like in the garage or in a separate room where it can run around. Or, it could accidentally escape one day. Honey, I'm so sorry. I left the back door open because this happens at my house all the time with the kids.
Oh, stop.
And we have a dog.
We accidentally lost the cat.
No, like 1 out of 3 days of the week, I come home. I'm like, where's the dog?
Yeah.
The dog's gone because the kids leave the sliding glass door open.
Oh.
Oops.
Okay.
Someone else texted that. Maybe the cat can...
Woodinville.
Oh, go ahead.
Cliff in Woodinville has a good one. Make him an outdoor cat. Make a catio for it. Seriously, the cat is established in its behavior. Marriage is stronger than a rescue cat, and I am a cat lover. So, yeah, make him an area outside. Make him an outside cat.
Mike in Portland said, I'm in the exact same situation with my wife's Chihuahua, so my advice would be, you just got to suck it up and wait for the thing to die.
The Chihuahuas are territorial, too, and they pair bond with the one person. To the exclude, dachshunds can do that too.
Jim in Linwood says, rehome the cat. Once they're peeing in your shoes, it does not like him. Why doesn't she see that?
Nick, what do you think, buddy?
Well, catio, that's a first, but it sounds like either comes down to the lady or the cat. There's really no in between what it sounds like, because if it's a dog, like Chef said, then you could train and adjust the behavior potentially, but cats, they live in their own world, and you're just a piece of their big puzzle. So if you want to stay with your partner, get ready for more feline chases after pushing dishes and food off the shelf herself. Or until your lady comes to her senses and finally sees in your eyes the kitty to be insane like you see it, then you put it up for adoption maybe, but I'm not waiting for it to die. That's just cold-blooded. Come on.
And it could be a long time. That cat could have, remember, they have 9 lives.
Listen.
You can live to like
Cats
17,
are
18.
Smart. Cats are smart.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are. They're smart, and they know when you're scared of them.
But yeah, and look, someone else just said to really check about these hormones.
Yes.
So, or just check. Some cats are on Prozac for behavioral issues.
This is true.
So, there might be some negotiation in there.
This is true. But yeah, I'd wait on the divorce part.
Well, I wasn't saying to get a divorce. I was just saying that she's not, I don't think she's going to give up the cat.
I think there are some animals that just have a screw loose too.
This
and there's
is true.
like nothing you can do.
I mean, this is true too. Okay, well, keep texting us, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Coming up next, we agree to disagree. This is the Gee and Ursula Show.
You never know what's in store each morning once you hit the road.
We've got a major traffic alert in effect right now.
While you're getting ready every morning, make us part of your routine.
What morning, huh?
Yeah. Got off to an early start.
Just tell your smart speaker to play KIRO News Radio or stream us on the app.
Both directions of I-5 are closed.
We'll help you get where you're going faster.
Maybe bail at 512.
KIRO News Radio. We're on your smart speaker, the app, and 97.3 FM, KIRO FM, and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle.
G. Scott here with former Seahawks Cliff Averill and Doug Baldwin.
I heard you guys are having a celebrity pickleball tournament to raise money for nourishing champions. Why pickleball?
Pickleball is obviously it's a growing sport, but also just the community in Seattle, they've already welcomed it. The beautiful thing about this model is that we will actually be playing with community.
You know, we're excited about this pickleball tournament. It's all about bringing families together, but also, you know, you get to come out there and compete against myself, Doug, Michael Medved, and we are the most competitive people. So regardless of how sorry Doug might be, he will be out there competing like it's a Super Bowl. And again, it's just all about bringing community together and having a great time, but all for a great cause and raising money for these grassroots organizations.
Come out and help me beat Cliff. Help me beat Cliff.
All right, this is going to be fun. Sign up for the Celebrity Pickleball Tournament, open to all skill levels. For details, go to championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Steel, walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Subaru of Puyallup is known for making your car buying experience stress-free, no matter what. Olivia here from Subaru of Puyallup. We've provided stress-free sales and service through storms, supply hiccups, even a pandemic. You can count on a stress-free experience no matter what's around the corner. Right now, we have over 300 brand new Subaru vehicles on the lot with stress-free pricing, plus excellent stress-free trade-in values. Come in and secure today's pricing on tomorrow's car at Subaru of Puyallup.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Christopher Cruz. Iran's supreme leader has just said the country's armed forces will retaliate against Israel for its attacks on nuclear sites. In a nationally televised address moments ago, he said Iran's military will leave Israel helpless. By all accounts, Israel's airstrikes have been on target. CBS News contributor Robert Berger is in Jerusalem.
The attack has gone extremely well from the Israeli point of view. They've killed 3 top generals in the command in Iran. They hit the Natanz nuclear facility, which is the top enrichment facility, causing major damage according to the military. And also Mossad agents got inside Iran with drones and were able to hit some ballistic missile sites.
CBS's Courtney Keeley says Israel isn't finished.
Israel is not pulling its punches. They are going all out. Prime Minister Netanyahu, this is something that will probably continue tonight, and we will maybe expect some ongoing through the weekend.
With a parade in Washington and protests expected around the country over Trump administration policies tomorrow, heat could be a factor. Forecasters have posted extreme heat warnings for desert areas of Southern California, Southern Nevada, and a large part of Arizona.
High temperatures will be between 105 and 110 degrees for several days in places including metro areas of Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Tucson. Sergio Armendariz with the Phoenix Rescue Mission has been on the streets checking on the homeless in the intense heat.
Oh, it's brutal. Some people call it an oven, just with the concrete. The sun's, it's dangerous, and it's really brutal out here.
Temperatures will be well above 100 degrees every day for the next week in Death Valley, California. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
200 Marines deployed in downtown Los Angeles today to support National Guardsmen. Major General Scott Sherman in command.
They have standard crowd control gear, helmet, their face shield. That's for crowd control.
Heavy rain could fall tomorrow in the nation's capital during that planned military parade. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
6,600 soldiers, more than 24 tanks, dozens of armored fighting vehicles, and choppers.
This is a great opportunity to showcase our soldiers to the nation.
D.C. hasn't seen something like this since 1991, when the nation marked the end of the first Gulf War.
4 men have broken out of an immigration detention center in Newark, says CBS's Stacey Lynn.
According to a DHS spokesperson, additional law enforcement partners have been brought in to assist in finding the men who escaped.
DHS officials haven't said how the 4 managed to get out or when. Less than 2 hours before the close of trading, the Dow is down almost 1.5%. S&P 500 and NASDAQ also down sharply. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A shooting in Seattle's Greenwood neighborhood will bring you the latest on that. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, we are looking very good. It appears that the southbound I-5 Express lanes, we had a collision there blocking 3 lanes at Mercer Street. That has cleared now, and the slowing is starting to break up. Other than that, I-5 southbound, the on-ramp from 104 and Edmonds, there's a collision partially blocking that ramp, which is an unexpected area to have some backups, so watch out for that as well. Otherwise, we're looking pretty good in and out of downtown Seattle. Typical slowing, 405 northbound in the S-curves, just about a minute delay than you'd normally see, and a speed limit drive almost everywhere else. Federal Way to Seattle, 36 minutes. Everett to Seattle, 44 minutes. Bothell to Bellevue on 405, 24 minutes. Renton to Bellevue on 405, 28 minutes. This report brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance. Get a whole house cooling and heating system from one ultra-efficient new heat pump and save up to $6,000 and take 18 months to pay. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Jillian Raftery. A rally tomorrow at Cal Anderson Park in Seattle is one of more than 50 planned for this region. Police and elected officials are preparing, asking people to stay peaceful, unlike protests that turned into riots this week.
Damn! That's our reaction. We're trying to get out of here.
Demonstrators are pushing back against expanding presidential powers. A shooting in Seattle's Greenwood neighborhood left 1 man injured. Here's KIRO 7 TV's Lindsay Sheldon.
This all happened just after 12:30 near North 102nd Street and Aurora Avenue. Now, police say a 47-year-old man got out of his car, confronted somebody on the street. Then the suspect pulled out a gun, shot him in the stomach, and took off in a car. Police are still searching for a shooter this morning.
A community in Wenatchee is preparing to say goodbye. A memorial for Evelyn, Peyton, and Olivia Decker is set for next Friday evening at Rocky Reach Park. They're the 3 girls found dead at an abandoned campsite near Leavenworth. Organizers told KIRO 7 TV to wear purple and green in honor of those girls. Their father, Travis Decker, is the main suspect. Crews are searching the rugged mountains near Ingalls Creek in Chelan County, trying to find him. The state is throwing ferry commuters a lifeline. The Bremerton route is getting a second boat, hopefully reducing wait times that have stretched up to 2.5 hours between sailings.
By adding this additional vessel, we are cutting that wait time by a full hour, and this expansion is permanent.
Governor Bob Ferguson says the West Seattle-Vashon Southworth route is getting a third boat, and the Port Townsend-Coupeville route gets a second boat during the week for the summer. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. 64 degrees is your high for today. It will stay cloudy throughout the day. Partially cloudy tomorrow, high of 68 degrees. Overnight lows in the low 50s. Best weather is going to be 69 degrees for Sunday, and then we're going to be moderate, and your next chance of rain is Thursday. It's 54 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO Newsradio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Welcome to the third hour of the Gee and Ursula Show on this fresh Friday. Gee is out today. Angela Poe Russell is in. Angela, you've been doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Just a reminder, you got a big night tonight.
Yeah, the staged reading of the musical tonight at 7
musical
o'clock.
that you wrote.
Yep, musical that I wrote and had a great composer that I worked with, Dion McLean-Freeney. So yeah, 7 p.m. tonight. We'll do the stage reading and Aviatrix, the musical. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm so impressed. Hey, as always, we invite you to join us on our text line, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Coming up at 11:30, we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but what do you think about the idea of using license plate cameras to help fight crime? There's another city here in Western Washington that is doing just that. And we're going to take a look at it and look at some of the concerns that are being raised about privacy, but also, hey, what are some of the benefits? So we'll talk about that and more coming up at 11:30. But right now, it is time for Agree to Disagree, brought to you by Guardian Roofing and Gutters.
One of these days, we just got to take off the gloves, just really go at it.
You know, we're going to entirely separate from the heavier themes at this point and continue the animal themes, okay? It is that time of year again in Ballard. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but sea lions have returned en masse to Shill Shoal Marina's guest docks. They sprawl across the planks like they're at a spa retreat. There's about 120 that have made themselves right at home, barking, lounging. They block access for the actual boaters who want to use the guest marinas there. Now, scientists say this is a good sign. It's proof of healthy herring runs and a growing population. But marina staff call them noisy, smelly, and potentially dangerous. At least one dock owner tried and failed to keep them away with some corrugated pipe. On the other hand, it's an ecological success story. And people are wondering whether or not, I'm getting all this from my Ballard, by the way. People are wondering whether there should be an effort made to remove them. This is becoming an annual thing down at Shill Shoal. It's cool to see the sea lions, but also, do you want to step off your boat if there's 100 sea lions on the dock that might have a problem with you being there? What do you think they should do, Angela?
I definitely enjoy seeing the sea lions whenever I'm out there. And how many months out of the year does this happen?
It's a summer thing, so I think maybe it's a couple months a year.
Okay,
I don't know exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so I enjoy that. Also, I appreciate that if part of your job is bringing in seafood and you're coming in off the boat, and if there have been some recorded interactions, I hesitate, considering this is an ecological success story, unless there is a safe way to encourage them to go somewhere else, not forcibly, but encouraging them to go somewhere else. Then I wouldn't be for that. But I completely understand what the concerns would be. So I say I would need to hear from them on ways we could encourage them to go versus forcing. But forcing and doing things that might harm them, I'm just not for our convenience.
I agree with you. I think the sea lions are so darn cute. But I'm also old enough to remember when Herschel,
Herschel,
was big news.
Yep.
What happened? What happened to Herschel?
This was all the way back in the, I want to say 80s.
This is like true Seattle lore.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was a well-known sea lion. He was referred to as Herschel, and he was a recurring presence in the Ballard Locks. And it was like, what do you do? And this was like a national story because Herschel will just keep popping up.
Mm-hmm.
But and he would eat all the salmon that were trying to go up the locks.
If you're familiar with the Ballard locks, I mean, you see how the whole cycle and return of the salmon, et cetera. And basically Herschel and his gang of sea lions figured out that this was a real easy place to get a lot of fish. So they were just gobbling up the salmon, and it was a big issue. I'm just not enough of an ecological expert to know, other than I think they're darn cute, and I don't want I don't want any harm done to them.
Yeah. So what happened to Herschel?
Ultimately, I don't remember what happened to him, honestly.
I believe they tried to relocate him to Northern California.
Yes, and he kept coming back.
He kept coming back.
That's right.
Yeah, he'd show up in the Columbia River, I believe.
Yes.
They tried a massive fake orca whale to scare him away. That didn't work.
Yes. So
they tried rubber bullets, acoustic devices.
Yes.
They treated him like a basic Seattle protester.
Okay. You stepped into
next
it.
Topic.
Why?
Yes.
I don't know. I think honestly, it's expensive to rent those docks. It's like $100 to $250 a day if you want to park your boat there, and if you can't access it, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to have to build new docks, because the sea lions aren't going to go away. If you can't get rid of one, how are you going to get rid of more than 100?
Well, there's got to be a way, but I just don't know enough to know what is the right thing to do. Just don't harm them.
Okay. All right, Tacoma is officially entering its sanctioned oink era. This is from the News Tribune. The city council just voted to update their animal code and legalize pigs. You can now keep a pig as a pet in Tacoma so long as it's under 100 pounds, it's spayed or neutered, microchipped, and licensed, which will cost you about $40 a year. It's not the only fee going up. Dog and cat licenses are also increasing. Unaltered pets cost a whopping $175 a year. The city says it's about reducing animal overpopulation and making sure that we have funding for shelter programs. But a lot of people are asking, if pigs are allowed as pets, what's next? And should responsible pet owners really have to pay more just because people aren't neutering their cats? So, Ursula, do you think people are, with a $175 a year licensing fee, do you think people are going to do it, A? And B, what do you think about the idea of pigs as house pets?
Okay, so I'll start with the pigs as house pets. For some people, that works out really well. In fact, we are going to be boarding Scooter, because we have a bunch of guests coming this weekend, including babies, to our house. And so we're going to have Scooter go to his, I like to call it his play area, with his, hang out with his friends. We use Rover. And the owner of the home where Scooter is housed actually has a pig, a potbelly pig too. And Scooter gets along. I mean, that potbelly pig is a pet and gets along well with the dogs.
Really? Because a lot of stuff I read said that they can kind of get in conflict, the dogs and the pigs.
So far, so good. And we've used them for years. Yeah. So I don't have an issue with the as long, again, as you treat them well. In terms of the fees, though, the cost of everything is going up. And do I think people are going to pay? Yeah, some people are going to pay. And for some people, it's just going to be too unaffordable.
Yeah. I'm for, if you want to have a pig as a pet. Apparently, I've never hung out with them, but I hear they're pretty smart and fun and creative. Like, I've heard they're can be great pets to have. The concern I have is not having enough regulation around it. If we're going to all of a sudden make this a thing that we can do, then, in order for them to not be aggressive, at least what I've read, they have to have space and room to roam. So maybe there could be a policy that, hey, if you're going to have a pig, then you have to have this much square footage of yard so they have a place to go. This is not, it's not the same as a dog. I mean, even though it can be a good pet, it's not exactly the same. So I think I'd put more regulation around it. And
regulation?
Yes.
You're going to have like a porcine compliance officer that goes around
and they have
check
to
all
watch a video.
Yes,
and take a test.
Corporate training. Yeah. Equity for animals. That's what we're all about here on the Gee and Ursula Show.
Where does it stop, though? I mean, obviously there's
where does it stop with animals?
Exotic animals.
Someone just said, let's let raccoons be pets.
Oh, God.
I wouldn't mind that. I'd love a raccoon as a pet.
No.
What? They're adorable.
You want to come stay at my house? You can make friends with the ones that we're trying to,
Well, I wouldn't not an adult raccoon, but if you back in the day in the United States, if you found like a baby squirrel or a baby raccoon, a raccoon lived in the White House. I'm serious. I think it was Teddy Roosevelt had a pet raccoon in the White House. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having a raccoon. Rather have a raccoon than a pot-bellied pig, that's for sure.
Really? Okay. All right.
They're adorable. They make that cute chittering noise. They're sweet. They wash all their food. They have tiny little hands.
It says they can be destructive, aggressive.
Can be.
Yeah, no
People
thanks.
can be too. So can dogs.
This is
And
true.
cats.
How do you treat it? All right, let's move on. Baby wearing has been around for centuries. And when I say baby wearing, when you see women with the wrap around them, they've got the
Yes.
baby in the sling thing. Well, it's 2025 and it's gone full couture. The Washington Post just profiled the exploding trend of high-end baby carriers. Some fetch up to $4,000 for a single wrap with ethically sourced cashmere, artisanal linen, even Peruvian vicuña wool. Yes. For some moms, it's self-expression and survival. One Seattle area mom said she could not leave the house with her $200 sling. Others call them wearable art or the last beautiful thing they'll get to own while covered in spit up, and it makes them feel like a person again. But there are critics who are saying this is just an example of motherhood being commoditized and capitalism coming for one of the most basic human ways that we've had for carrying around children. What do you think about $400 to $400,000 or $4,000 pieces of fabric to carry around a baby in, Angela?
I believe in freedom. And so if you would
Do you believe in judgment, though?
If you
freedom
would
of
if you would
expression.
like to spend that, fine. However, I would invite you that if you have money to spend $4,000 on a wrap to wear your baby, that maybe you can say, you know what, I'm going to just spend this and donate to maybe some moms who wouldn't even be able to afford a wrap, period. And I know that we can say that about anything, like, oh, donate the money. It just feels, how there are just some things that feel excessive. And I don't know. I mean, people pay $10,000 for watches. So I guess it's like anything else.
Correct.
So I guess if this is the mom Rolex, then
I'm not sure
The
that
Mama
this
Lex.
is
the Mama
so
Lex.
new. They're writing about it, but I don't know that this is so new. I used 20 years ago, I used the baby Bjorn. Those weren't cheap.
They weren't cheap. And the diaper bags used to be
yeah.
a thing.
And
like,
you could have
have a
designer
nice diaper bag.
Exactly. So it's just going to the extreme. And now who wrote about it?
Washington Post.
So the Washington Post points it out. And people are, if you have a lot of money and you don't know what to do with that money, you're going to, as long as it's safe, I don't care if it's $4,000.
And what happens for some people who are extremely rich, $4,000 is nothing. That's like
a tissue?
It's not, I don't know. I mean, it just isn't, or they're like, this is my baby. They shall be held in only the finest of linens with all organic and porous free. I don't know. I mean,
it's an accessory.
I want their skin.
It's a symbol. It's a signal.
It is a status symbol.
I'm a person of value.
Even this baby strollers. You remember? When we had baby strollers, there were the fancy dancy ones. I just used the same baby stroller that I had for our older son, for our younger one, as long as it worked. But for some people, it's a status symbol.
Yeah.
It's weird. Speaking of, actually, I was noticing this the other day going through my neighborhood. There's a whole bunch of free stuff out, and I live in Edmonds. It's relatively nice. And I was wondering why people don't put it on the Buy Nothing groups, right, that are linked to your
Love Buy
neighborhood.
Nothing.
And then I came down here to Capitol Hill, and I drive through the apartment regions, and there's always stuff outside the apartments. And generally, it's a lot crappier than the stuff that is in my neighborhood. And I had this thought, like, why is it that Buy Nothing groups are only for your neighbors who are generally of your same socioeconomic class? Like, there are a lot of people in my neighborhood who would happily give away things to people who really need it. But Buy Nothing is only for your neighborhood. Angela, do you think that Buy Nothing groups are a little bit exclusive and they should be opened up? Or do you think maybe it's a safety issue and neighbors only is a good idea?
I think it's fine the way it is. I get your sentiment of wanting to share it with the community. If that's the case, they can take it to a Value Village or Goodwill or some other organization that would take their item. For me, it's about safety. Even on platforms that let's say, for example, an OfferUp. It is risky when you're meeting up with someone to give someone something. So I feel like if you have a neighborhood group, there's a higher chance that I've already verified who you are. I know your address here. And so it's just keeping it. It's just keeping it in the neighborhood. I like it for the safety reasons. I get your sentiment. I just think there are other ways to accomplish it.
I agree with you, Angela. And I will say that because I do participate in a Buy Nothing group, not enough, but enough to know that I love the concept. And the whole idea is to help build trust among your neighbors and also cut down the time when it comes to pickups. Right? I mean, the whole idea is to make it convenient for everybody, also to promote this strong feeling of community. And whereas in your neighborhood, you say that mostly people are in the same socioeconomic status, that is not the case in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
We have a wide variety. We have, and in fact, I think that our particular Buy Nothing group is really good about helping neighbors who are definitely in a different socioeconomic status. And frankly, it makes me feel just that much better if I know that I can give, and this is going to really be changing for someone within our community.
Yeah, I guess I see the ultimate goal of Buy Nothing groups is keeping things out of the landfill. And so the more people who have access to something potentially, the faster it gets picked up. It's out of your sight, it's out of your mind, you're good to go. And dropping stuff off at Value Village and Goodwill, I feel like I'm actually putting something in the dump when I do that. Because you don't know what they accept, what will sell. A lot of people use it explicitly for that reason. Like, I know that like half these baby clothes are never going to get used by anybody, but I'm just going to drop it off at Goodwill.
Or is it going to be used by someone who really needs the help? Or is it, you know what I'm saying? So, I would much rather do it on a Buy Nothing group.
Even the stores are different by neighborhood, right? You know, if you go to the Goodwill in like Sodo, it's much different than the one, you know, over in Bellevue. Or whatever.
Yes, that is very true.
That's like the secret trick, actually, is you got to go to the nice neighborhood thrift stores.
Yep. But I guess I'm hoping that if I take it to Goodwill and they can't use it, my hope is that they would dispose of it properly. Oh, wow. I didn't know Chef could raise one eyebrow so well. He just raised one eyebrow.
This is a family trait. It's ingrained at birth.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah.
I got one eyebrow raised.
I don't know what they do with it. I assume they put it in like containers and dump it in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah. Going back to your neighborhood thrift store, the ones that are high end, when I was anchoring the news in Philly, I got so many suits from going to this one thrift shop in a certain, oh my gosh, I was doing it.
Well, here's another
cheaply.
Little trick too. If you're going to do stuff off Craigslist, looking at where you're going to pick up some of this used furniture. I mean, does make a difference.
Oh, listen, I ended up with, do y'all know how much pianos cost, right?
Oh, yeah.
And imagine a grand piano. How much does a grand piano cost?
Thousands.
$10,000.
Okay,
like that.
I was able to get one for $2,000 from a very fancy neighborhood on the east side.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was able to
would have cost them $2,000 to get it moved anywhere. So basically, you just picked up the moving fee.
But it was great for me, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, and there's such great satisfaction in feeling like, wow, that was a deal.
Yes.
and someone else was happy to get rid of it.
Yep.
Okay, still ahead, we're going to do some of the stories that we didn't get to, including, would you let AI teach your child? That's one of the stories that we didn't get to. And we'll talk about that next, coming up on the Gee and Ursula Show.
This hour is brought to you by DUI Heroes. As the nation's biggest news story makes its way to right here at home.
Anti-ICE protesters turned violent in downtown Seattle.
Trust KIRO News Radio.
Team coverage begins with KIRO News Radio's Gwen Baumgartner.
Watching people graffiti the side of the federal building.
It's why local news and experience matter.
Now to my colleague James Lynch.
I've never seen that large of a contingent of Seattle police officers, an extreme show of force.
KIRO News Radio. Local news coverage you can depend on.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com. Or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Cold is leaking and rocks are moving and mold is creeping and water seeping in. It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
I always say, know where your food comes from. And for the best tasting food, choose locally fresh. Hartley here from Wilcox Family Farms. When you choose food from local family farmers like Wilcox, you support the local economy with jobs and promote environmental sustainability. Wilcox is committed to organic, humane practices that keep our hens healthy and help preserve the land. So, our family can keep on producing great eggs for another 100 years. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. Northwest News.
Need a new roof now? With State Roofing and Exteriors, you can get started with zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for up to 24 months. That's right. Protect your home now and pay later. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
Ladies, and you guys too, have you noticed visible signs of aging, those deep wrinkles, fine lines, and facial creases stealing your youthful glow? Sagging skin, crow's feet, and loss of facial contour are all natural effects of aging, but you no longer have to let them define your appearance. Introducing the New Skin Lift, the groundbreaking facelift led by Dr. Brian Scott. The advanced New Skin Lift addresses key signs of facial aging for women and men, restoring natural youthful contours. Whether it's replenishing volume lost over time or lifting the skin to smooth out those creases, the New Skin Lift can help you look 10 to 20 years younger with both surgical and non-surgical options. It's Hollywood's best kept secret and now available to you. Get a free consultation and save $250 off your New Skin facelift. Schedule at newskinlift.com or 206-222-1225. Look 10 to 20 years younger and restore your youthful appearance with the New Skin facelift. newskinlift.com.
And now, tales of another way. You're making your go-to goulash. Salt, pepper, and paprika. But you spy smoked paprika in the spice rack. And your go-to goulash becomes go-go goulash. Sometimes another way is the better way, like the new SR 509 Expressway, the alternate route that'll help manage congestion on I-5 and other local roads. Plus, provide better access to SeaTac. Open soon. Free through summer. Learn more at goodtogo509.com.
We live in one of the most beautiful places on Earth, and owning your own deck is a great way to enjoy it. But finding the right decking solution can be overwhelming. That's why all 9 of our Puget Sound locations offer decking showrooms so you can get your hands and toes on the more than 60 decking options we carry. So if you have any questions about building, maintaining, or repairing your deck, contact me personally. Mike Dunn at DunnLumber.com.
TimberTech Vintage Collection Decking. On sale now at Dunn Lumber.
An Aussie trekker travels to America to hike an epic trail.
It was rocky, it was imposing.
But Eric Robinson never made it to the end. I'm Dave Cawley. Follow my podcast, Uinta Triangle, UINTA, on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Carter Subaru wants to buy your car. Carter Subaru will buy your vehicle for top dollar, even if you're not in the market for a new one. And when you are ready to buy a new vehicle, your drive begins with savings at Carter Subaru. Carter Subaru in Shoreline and Ballard.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
New special report. Air raid sirens are sounding across Israel as missiles are fired by Iran. Plumes of smoke are visible in Tel Aviv. This is what it sounds like in the city. CBS's Olivia Gazis on whether the strikes have eliminated Iran's nuclear capability.
We don't know whether Israeli actions are successful in eliminating Iran's capabilities to create a nuclear bomb or accelerate them, whether they are a death blow to the existing regime or whether they invigorate it.
And from the White House, CBS's Weijia Zhang reports on the effects of the attacks on Iran nuclear talks.
Question is whether Tehran is going to come to the table given these developments, and whether it believes that the U.S. was in fact not involved and did not help coordinate this massive effort on the part of Israel.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel told the U.S. about its plans to attack Iran.
I'm Jillian Raftery. Our other top stories. The federal government is appealing the decision to give control of the National Guard back to California. That state's governor argued President Trump overstepped his authority by deploying the Guard to protests in Los Angeles. Leaders in Washington have been watching this case closely after protests here in the Northwest. Investigators have now found the black box for Air India Flight 117. The plane crashed shortly after takeoff into a crowded neighborhood in India, killing more than 240 people. That plane was made here in Washington and had been in service 11 years. It's the first time a Dreamliner has crashed. More than 100 nursing assistants in Everett are officially out of a job. Providence Swedish handed out layoff notices Wednesday at its regional medical center. It's part of a larger restructuring across 7 states. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, we have a traffic alert for you on I-5 northbound just south of Federal Way Station. There's a collision blocking 2 left lanes and part of the HOV. It's backed all the way up to the Tacoma border at this point. Travel times creeping up to an hour, Tacoma to Seattle. We're looking good elsewhere. Everett to Seattle is sitting at 49 minutes. It looks like there's just a little bit of extra volume getting into downtown Seattle at this point on I-5. Bothell to Bellevue, 24 minutes on 405 southbound, 405 northbound, 28 minutes. So running a handful of minutes behind. Just, again, residual volumes going up north. Tacoma to Olympia, though, 48 minutes. That's a speed limit drive. This report brought to you by KIRO Radio. Weather brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Heating up to 64 degrees. Tomorrow, 68 degrees and partly cloudy. It is 55 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Jillian Raftery for KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This used to be one of my favorite songs, by the way. It's definitely one of my most danceable songs.
And the beat goes on?
Yes, I love it. Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. Gee is out today. Angela Poe Russell is in. And the question of the hour is, would you let AI teach your child? So we're talking about this because the singer, is it Kellis?
Kellis. Is it? Yeah, Kellis, yeah.
So in an interview, was raving about homeschooling one of her sons.
Yeah, she did that song, Milkshake. Do you remember that song? You know, people have these hits.
Yep.
And so the context of it, I guess she's been living in Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay.
And talked about how they have really good schools there for a certain age, above a certain age. So for her younger one, she wanted to be able to travel the world. And she said her kids have been to amazing places. And because she's been able to use AI-powered homeschool, it's enabled them to be able to live this, global jet-setting life and still be educated. So it just brought up this question, is this a good thing? Like, how do we feel about homeschool powered by AI?
Well, personally, I have the greatest admiration for people who can do homeschooling because it is one of those things that I never considered because I know myself all too well. I would rather entrust my kids' education to people who are much more well-versed at educating children. And not to say that I wouldn't be the most powerful teacher for my kids. I understand that sentiment too. And, there were things that I could teach them that teachers shouldn't have to teach them. But when I think that there's so many other things that go into schooling that I never considered it. But I know some people who are so successful at homeschooling, and I can only think that AI would just make it that much better and I guess easier. And I base that on things like, have you ever used Khan Academy?
Oh, yes. My daughter uses it for the SAT and it's free.
Exactly. I mean, some of the tools that are available that weren't available when we were going through school and things that can help enhance what goes on in the classroom, I think is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at what can AI do to help out, I don't think that AI should ever replace teachers. But when it comes to, if you're going to choose to do homeschooling anyway, I can only think of positive things that would come out of it.
Absolutely. I'm actually intrigued by this. And the company she used is called Fusion. So that's the name of the company. I think that when we look at all of the negative things that can happen because of AI, this is an example of something with a lot of great potential. Right? Like she talked about how the AI is able to respond to how her son is learning and make adjustments and able to figure out what he needs to work on. And so now he's at a certain level that's above his grade. So I think that's awesome. And here's the deal. Even if you don't homeschool your kids, if you just decide, you know what, I want to go spend a month with a sick relative in a different city, or I want to, my spouse has to go on a long work trip. I mean, I just think it's a great tool that people can have to have more flexibility in life. I don't think it should ever replace mimicking a class, because I know homeschoolers will sometimes get other homeschoolers together and have that social interaction. So that's fantastic. So as long as kids are able to get the lesson, like to be able to have the classroom experience where you learn from peers. You see Janie over there who's smarter than you or better than you at this, and you learn from her, and then someone else learns from you on something. Those
just
are
developing social skills too.
Yeah, social skills too, dealing with the mean guy or the mean girl. I mean, all of those things. So I love it with guardrails. And it sounds like a lot of these parents are doing it, have them.
I welcome the idea of AI in the classroom. The reality is, like, my son is in second grade now, and a lot of the work he does is on an online computer program called iReady. And, it will track how you are doing. It will assign you things based on your competence level, right, and challenge you and keep you learning. If AI does a little bit more of the lifting of the teaching of curriculum, that frees up teachers.
Yes.
Because if you talk to any teacher, they do not have the time to provide the individual supports to kids that they need. My son has some behavior issues, right? And it has been a struggle over 3 years to be able to have a teacher be able to get enough time for me to talk with them 5 minutes every day just to check in, see what the plan is. There is no capacity for a teacher to take 15 minutes away from class to deal with a student who's having some kind of issue. Whether it's they didn't eat breakfast that morning, they're having an emotional issue, and there are not enough. There are enough paraeducators to help with that. Not every kid is on an IEP that requires them to get specialized support. And if we can have teachers give more individual attention to kids, that is just a win overall.
Yeah. Individual, or how about create games? I want to ask parents out there, how many of your kids are coming home and saying that their teachers created fun games in the classroom to help reinforce material? When I was a kid, that was a norm in our school. Right before the test, they would have Jeopardy on the wall, and you'd play this game, and there'd be chalk, and there'd be coloring, and it was all fun learning. And my kids have not had that much at all until recently. There was a teacher in this psychology class, and before the big test, every day there was a different game. And she even brought donuts in one day and said, hey, we're going to play this game, and you get a donut if you do this. And I just wonder, do teachers have the bandwidth to do that anymore? Are your kids having fun, gamified experiences in the classroom? So my hope is that if we can use AI to kind of do some of the heavy lifting, it can free up teachers to be creative about how we engage kids and get them excited and do projects. So that's my hope. But I would love to hear, like, are games the thing your kids are getting to do? Or is it just...
I don't know. I don't know if there's any other parents out there that have dealt with this, but Matthew's kindergarten teacher was phenomenal. She was in her last year of teaching. And we were talking last week, and he said, Dad, since kindergarten, I don't feel like any of my teachers or anyone at school sees me.
Oh, that would break my heart.
And the reality is, they don't have the time. Who has the time?
And I'm hoping, you're right. Oh, you're right. And I'm hoping that AI can help free up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's like when you get that educator who sees your kid, that is so valuable.
Oh, gosh.
That is so valuable.
Before I came to work this morning,
Yeah.
it's the last day of school. Before I came to work, I pulled out a thank you card and I wrote a letter to that psychology teacher. And I'm going to deliver it when I get off today. And I actually said, my daughter felt seen by you and heard and understood. And that is going to last a lifetime. And so I'm sad that your son hasn't felt like he was seen by his teacher.
It's not always going to happen, right? Your boss isn't always going to see you, like some of your coworkers. But if we can give the opportunity for some space to allow for more of that.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That
Makes
would be
a
wonderful.
huge difference.
And Chef, what I love is that Matthew felt comfortable and was able to articulate that to you.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Okay, still ahead. We hear ya. You guys have been busy giving us feedback, so we hear ya and our words to live by. This is the Gee and Ursula Show.
KIRO Newsradio is right there with you.
A big story developing this morning.
On your smart speaker before you head out the door.
We get the latest live from KIRO Newsradio's Luke Ducey.
Huge impacts for Boeing and Boeing workers.
The office, the gym, anywhere.
Water, like taxes, goes all the way down to the bottom, so it'll either come out of the employee's paycheck or the lack of raise.
KIRO Newsradio. We're on YouTube, our app, your smart speaker, and 97.3 FM.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com. Or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Swing and a miss. Strike three. That is strikeout number 7 for Brian Wu.
Home. Home is where you get to cook things up just the way you like.
Swing and a miss.
Where you're never afraid to get in the kitchen.
He got him a huge strikeout from Logan Gilbert. It's 7th tonight.
Where you serve, carve, put some extra mustard on it.
There's the fist pump by Luis Castillo. Strikeout number 10 on the night.
And get a little spicy.
Set a heater at 100. Back-to-back strikeouts for Andres Munoz.
Now you're cooking with gas. Mariners baseball at T-Mobile Park. Welcome home.
Father's Day weekend is here, and T-Mobile Park is the perfect place to celebrate as the Mariners take on the Guardians. The fun gets started with tonight's sing-along fireworks night at 7:10, presented by T-Mobile. Then, the first 10,000 dads on Father's Day will score a pair of socks thanks to Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Get your tickets at mariners.com.
Wait,
If I work today, why should I have to wait 2 weeks to get my money? With Earnin, you can access your pay as you work instead of waiting days and weeks for a paycheck. Get up to $150 a day with a max of $750 between paydays. No interest, no credit checks, and no mandatory fees. Because, hey, it's your money. Download the Earnin app now to get it and join millions of people making any day payday. That's EARNIN. Earnin is not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors. Available in select states. Expedited transfers available for a fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details.
Hey, it's John Curley with Dr. Kopstein from K2 Vision RLE. Doc, I heard that 50% of Americans have their lenses replaced by the time they're 75.
That's exactly right, John. As we near 50, our eye's natural lens starts to become dysfunctional. If you've now added readers to your need for glasses and contacts, it's a sign the quality and function of your natural lens is fading, and it's a steady decline towards cataracts.
Don't go another 20 plus years with poor vision, hassling with contacts and readers. Do what I did. Choose a quick, painless refractive lens exchange from K2 Vision RLE and start enjoying great vision now.
Our new lens technology is truly amazing. After replacing over 100,000 lenses, we have the experience to guide each patient to their best solution, even if that's recommending you wait a little while before RLE.
K2 Vision RLE can restore distance and near vision permanently, plus never develop a cataract. Read the reviews and schedule a free Zoom consultation now at k2visionrle.com.
Guys, want long-term health you can count on? It starts with knowing your numbers. This June, for Men's Health Month, Revive Seattle is offering a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value, including testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Take control of your health today and stay strong for the long haul. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Life can be stressful sometimes, but buying your new Subaru doesn't have to be. Subaru of Puyallup has you covered with over 300 new Subarus on the lot. Come in now so you can secure today's pricing on tomorrow's car at Subaru of Puyallup, your stress-free dealership.
At Les Schwab, we've been changing the tire game for more than 70 years. Our Go the Extra Mile service means more hustle, less hassle. We design our own exclusive tires to give you more tires made for the road you drive, less compromise. All backed by America's best tire warranty included with every tire we sell. We're talking more unbeatable tire warranty, less charging you extra, like the other guys. It's why you get more from less. Book an appointment at leschwab.com.
With that, we wrap up our Friday edition of the Gee and Ursula Show. So ably filled by Angela
Thank you.
Russell, who has a big night tonight. And I love that folks are wishing you well tonight. I mean, it is a big fat deal.
It's very sweet. It's very sweet. I really do appreciate it.
Okay, so let's talk about, I'm going to let you start. We are starting with scenarios.
Oh, listen, you all had a lot to say about the scenario where the person said, rescue me from a demon cat. Josh in Auburn said, the cat is not the problem. Cats are smart. Animals also know how to read energy of other people. The problem sounds like it's the guy more than anything. Train the cat, spend time with the cat. Do not give up the animal. If you give up the animal for a person, don't own an animal later down the line. Josh didn't have a strong opinion at all.
Linda in Port Hadlock says, 40 years ago, and yes, we are still married, my husband gave up his cat because when I came into his life, she started peeing on everything that had my scent on it. That's a pretty clear sign of feline aggression toward the other person in their favorite human's life. Kind of like how Scooter barks at everyone when they come close to me. Well, love for me won out over love for the cat, but even though he rehomed her with a trusted friend and knew that she had a good life, he still grieves her. Pet love runs deep.
Chris in Marysville. I owned a cat years ago, and whenever I would wake up from a nap or just sleeping in general, oftentimes he would be sitting on my chest staring at me, and it would scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, that would scare me too. Sherry in Puyallup says, when they pee on your shoes, it is indicative that the cat doesn't like you and will continue to be aggressive. My cat peed on the house sitter's suitcase, a purse, and
oh my gosh.
And finally on my husband's pillow. We had this cat for several years before the behavior.
Wow. Okay. Jim in Linwood. Nope. Rehome the cat. It pees in his shoes because it does not like him. Why doesn't he see that? The cat's not into you. I added that part.
Yes. On the annual sea lion invasion at Shoal, which I want to just admit, if it wasn't clear, that I was ill-equipped to talk about that topic. 206 says, regarding the sea lions at Shoal, do you want salmon on your plate or sea lion?
Oh.
They are decimating the salmon runs going into Lake Washington. Get rid of those sea lions. They are not cute, and they are prohibiting the boaters from using the docks that generate revenue.
And that's why I loved the text line, because
Yes.
we get different perspectives.
Yes.
That's awesome. Robin and Graham, I've moored boats at the Foss Marina and Tai Marina in Tacoma, and at both places had sea lions lounging on the docks. Yes, they can be loud, but they are harmless. We just stepped around them. One time while anchored out in the bay, we even had one plop itself up on our swim step. It was awesome.
But then there's Sandy on Camino who says, sea lions might be cute, as I said, but they are mean. My friend, a fisherman, was attacked by a sea lion on his boat. He had to be, airlifted to a trauma hospital and is now disabled for life. Oh, no.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so in the Buy Nothing groups, do I do one more here?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Diana in Seattle, there's also Trash Nothing, which reaches out further than Buy Nothing. I use it all the time, and when donating books, try Seattle Friends of the Library. They then look at the book and either sell in their shops or send the books to prisoners or books for military personnel.
And then Marty in Bellevue says, I'm an admin for our Crossroads Tam O'Shanter Buy Nothing group in Bellevue. It consists of apartments, subsidized housing, condos, as well as high-end homes. It's a beautifully diverse group, and we're about gifting from our own abundance as well as supporting each other as a community. For instance, after major spine surgery, I received the gift of service from several members who took my trash down my 13 condo stairs for several weeks. I highly recommend.
Oh, that's awesome.
I do need to say, if you aren't doing a Buy Nothing group, almost every community has them.
Okay.
And they are fantastic.
All right, I'll have to sign up because
Really.
I'm not on there. Okay, so Joe and Everett, what do fathers want? Father's Day. Joe says, this is a special Father's Day for me. My wife's adult children lost their birth father a few years ago, and I didn't push myself in the role, but one of them just gave me a home-cooked meal and the sweetest note naming me father of choice. I got picked for the role I believed I'd never achieve.
Okay, I'm getting all choked up about that one.
Wow, my father of choice.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, and then there's Jeremy, the hot sauce guy, who says, dads want hot sauce box sets. Okay, I will attest to the fact that those hot sauce box sets are really fantastic.
Gotta love them.
Okay, pet pigs in Tacoma. We'll just do one more. 206 says, my hairstylist has a pet pig and a few dogs. The pig is litter box trained and gets along great with those dogs.
And then Scotty says he's had a raccoon as a pet. Scotty, you got to text us on Monday and let us know.
No thanks.
Because I want to know about this pet raccoon.
Okay, for words to live by, I love this. It's quoting Dalai Lama here, and it's especially important as we head into a weekend where there's going to be a lot of passion. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries, and without them, humanity cannot survive.
Love and compassion.
Yes,
I agree.
need to just practice love and compassion as much as possible.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Oh, Angela, thank you. Really appreciate it, and good luck tonight.
Thank you so much.
I'm such a fan.
Yeah.
Chef, thank you for all that you do. And Nick.
Well, being the originators of said Father's Day, it makes sense for the state to hold their dads and hearts to stay. And even though the ladies held the fort this time around, this upcoming break goes out to all the dads of Puget Sound. But don't go as far to get the new pet pig as his surprise. I would rather you pick up the bratty cat for your demise. And don't even think about bringing the raccoon in the house. I don't even want that coming through your mind, all right?
And if you just heard Nick and you're like, what is he talking about? If you missed any part of our show, just a reminder that you can catch up on our podcast, which is available about 20 or 30 minutes after the show ends.
Perfect.
I hope you all have an especially fresh Friday. 2 great dads are coming up next. Jake and Spike, that show is coming up next. Stay with us and have a very safe weekend. Love you.
Hope you have as much fun as we have. So long, everybody.
You listen to Seattle's morning news every morning. What do Charlie and Manda listen to every afternoon?
I absolutely love listening to John Curley because he makes you think, which I love.
John has a real special talent in being able to talk about the topics we care about, but he's always trying to make it fun. And you're going, oh, this guy actually gets it.
The John Curley Show, weekdays 3 to 7. Watch The John Curley Show live on YouTube or the KIRO Newsradio App. KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle.
Hi, it's John Curley. Longevity Medical Clinic is your best plan for long-term well-being and personalized health care. Dr. Mixon, let me ask you a question. How long have some of your patients been working with you?
And we've got patients now that have been with us for over 20 years that are in their 90s who came to us in their 60s. The grandparents now in their 90s are living independently. They're not on walkers. They're not on canes. They're not headed for nursing homes.
I meet people and they ask about, wow, you're in great shape. You have 12% body fat and stuff. What's the secret? I said, it's not a secret. Longevity Medical Clinic has been there for 25 years. There is no secret to the fact that if you make those small changes, you avoid the big, bad, horrible stuff that most of us just think, well, this is what's supposed to happen to me.
And if you're heading downhill and you don't change your direction, you're going to continue going downhill. And what we do at Longevity is we redirect you and we take you back up the hill.
So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products in next